Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if neglected Naruto is scared of Kakashi part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Kakashi Hatake was a broken man. Very few people realize the truth. He smiled when he was supposed to, he laughed at the right times like he should, he acted like a normal person. But those who knew him best saw the spark missing from his soul. When he went to his lonesome home, the real mask came off. He would sit in meditation for hours trying to find purpose in his existence. He just felt so numb and isolated all the time. All of the precious people he had ever cared for were dead. Some of the deaths were accidental, or just fate. Some were caused by him either directly or indirectly. His mother, father, sensei, and teammates were all gone, leaving only him to wander through life wondering why he was chosen to outlive them. He was already an elite jonin, an umbu captain. Here he found himself at only 17 years old and questioning why he should go on. He would never consider suicide as a means out because of his father, but he thought all the time about losing a battle during one of his missions. Next one, he told himself that night as he went to bed. Maybe if I am lucky, I will die on my next mission. He knew without a doubt that he was a danger to everyone around him. His duties as an umbu were the only thing keeping him together. Killing others made the pain go away for a while. It was only a matter of time when that would be gone as well. He was starting to mess up. He had trouble sleeping and keeping his mind focused. He could barely relate to anyone anymore. He drank hard when he was off duty. He drifted off to sleep with thoughts of being in peril for some unknown reason. A common occurrence for him. Several hours later, he found himself awake much earlier than he intended to be, staring at the ceiling. He just had yet another nightmare. This one was about not being able to prevent his father from killing himself. He kept seeing the tonto slide into his stomach and the blood pooling around his body. He had loved his father dearly. He was everything he wanted to be. When he was gone, Kakashi's world was torn apart. Although it was only 2 a.m, he got up and dressed in the dark. The 4 walls of his tiny apartment seemed to close in on him, making him feel suffocated. He needed to get out. Throwing on his sandals, he jumped out the window and began to aimlessly wander around Konohagakure as silent as a cat. The clouds hiding the moon made the night as black as his mood. The tranquil serenity of the slumbering village was broken by the crisp sound of the autumn leaves dancing along the cobblestone paths in the light breeze. He desperately wished he could find peace in the solitude, but could not, no matter how hard he tried. His former teammate, Obito, appeared next to him. "Why did you have to kill her, Kakashi? I loved Rin. You should have protected her with your life." "You failed me, Kakashi," said the ghostly voice in his head. "Just like you failed everyone else." "I'm sorry, Obito. I'm sorry, Rin," he murmured softly to himself. "It should have been me." He continued his stroll towards the memorial stone when the sound of a tiny whimpers broke his dark thoughts. Wondering what could be making that noise, he followed it to a row of hedges. Carefully pulling back the bare branches, he spotted the source of the moans. What he had discovered surprised him immensely. A small child lay curled up on the ground asleep. He was shivering so hard that Kakashi knew he had to do something immediately. He bent over, pulled the branches wider, and tried to pick up the small form. The kid, sensing the ninja, instantly awoke and backpedaled away with a little frightened cry. A brilliant moonbeam broke through the clouds, shining down on them and bringing the child's features into stark relief. Kakashi noted the blonde hair and whisker markings on the boy's panicked face. 3 years had passed since he had seen a face like this one, the face of his beloved sensei and 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze. A pang of deep sadness hit him hard. The look of stark terror in the boy's eyes pulled him away from his own depressing thoughts. Kakashi tried to reassure the boy. In a low, comforting tone, he said, "Sure, it is okay. I won't hurt you, Naruto. I want to help you." He put his hand out to the boy and tried to get him to come out. Naruto let out a small whimper and curled into a tight ball, covering his ears with his hands and tucking his elbows to his sides. It was a pose of someone who knew how to defend himself from major injury to the eyes, ears, and vital organs, a pose of someone who had been beaten too many times. It struck Kakashi hard. This was the legacy of the Yondaime, the hero of Konoha. What was he doing outside on such a cold night, sleeping in a bush? He stayed close to the child, speaking to him in a low, soothing voice for a long time, until Naruto would finally allow himself to be extracted. Kakashi drew him into his arms and bore him away. As they passed under the street lamps, Kakashi couldn't help but note the sallow skin and pinched, malnourished features. He weighed next to nothing in his arms. He was also way too small to be 3 years old. He looked like he hadn't bathed in a very long time, and there were several bald patches on his head. The terrible odor coming from Naruto made his eyes water, but he said nothing as he carried the boy to the orphanage. He tried to get Naruto to talk, but he would not respond. His eyes had such a dead look in them. Kakashi knew that look well. He saw it in the mirror every day. That look changed completely as they approached the doors of the orphanage. Naruto began to struggle and cry as they got nearer. He shook his head and shivered. Kakashi held him firmly, rubbed his back, then beat on the door until someone answered. A middle-aged woman wearing an expensive silky robe and rubbing her eyes opened the door. "Who is it? What do you want at this time of night?" she asked grumpily. Kakashi turned his body so that the boy was visible to her. "I think you might have misplaced someone," he said to her. "It is a little late for him to be outside." The woman's eyes narrowed as she noticed the tiny boy. With a look of barely contained disgust, she snapped, "Just put him down. He is always wandering away." Kakashi put the trembling boy down in regret, and cringed when the woman grabbed his little arm and dragged him into the building. "I'll take care of him from here," she snarled, then slammed the door on his surprised face. Kakashi stood there in shock for a moment, then jerked when he heard the sound of a smack and the pained cry of the boy. He shined into the building to find the woman with her fist hovering over the cowering child. He seized her hand and threw her across the room. "How dare you! He is just a baby," he roared. Snatching Naruto up, he stormed away from the orphanage in a fit of rage. Naruto looked at his furious face and began to sob in fright. Kakashi stopped and breathed deep to calm himself. He smiled through his mask, crinkling his eye. "I'm sorry, little one. I didn't mean to scare you." He hugged the sobbing boy tight to his chest, caressed his head, and said, "Don't worry, the worst is over now. I will never let anyone hurt you ever again, Naruto. I will protect you with everything I am. I promise you." The boy stared at him with mistrust before sticking his thumb in his mouth. His eyes became heavier and heavier as he fought to stay awake. Kakashi said quietly to Naruto, "Maybe now we both can breathe again, pup." The boy fell fast asleep in the Kapinin's arms as he walked back to his apartment. The previous dark thoughts of his fallen comrades were held at bay for the first time in a very long time. Kakashi's mind was filled instead of images of the blonde-haired, blue-eyed chibi he vowed to protect. "This time I will not fail. I cannot fail." He tried to set the slumbering child down, but he clung harder. Kakashi was able to lie down on the bed with the child on his chest. He fell into a dreamless sleep, waking 4 times to calm the howling child. Yes, he knew all about nightmares. The sun was barely peeking over the horizon when a bang awoke Kakashi. Heart pounding, he leapt out of bed in battle mode with a kunai in each hand. He quickly scanned every inch of the room searching for enemies before he realized that he was in his home. Still unable to shake the feeling that something was amiss, he crept out of the room to hunt for intruders. There was nothing in the living room. Suddenly remembering the events from last night, he ran back into the bedroom. The boy was not there. He dropped to his knees and looked under the bed and then the closet. He was not there. He wasn't in the bathroom either. With only one place left to look, he went to the kitchen. The boy was behind the counter digging through the trash that was strewn around the floor. He was about to put something in his mouth. "No!" Kakashi shouted in disgust before he could stop himself. "Drop that now! That's very bad." Naruto's whole body jerked in surprise before he scuttled away to the corner of the room with his hand raised above him. Big fat tears rolled down his hollow cheeks, leaving white streaks on his dirty face. "Emba misai. Misai. Ani." Angry at himself for scaring the boy when he yelled, he sighed, "I'm not going to hit you, calm down." Naruto looked down at the floor, Emba. Kakashi was torn between surprise that the kid had finally spoken and confusion at what he was saying. He finally thought he figured out what the chibi was trying to say. He said gently, "You are not bad, Naruto, but eating trash will make you sick. Let's get you a bath and then something good to eat, okay?" He solemnly nodded, then allowed himself to be led to the bathroom. Kakashi ran the bath water, then began to remove the clothes in disgust. When he took off his shorts, he was surprised to see an old cloth diaper. The kid had it on for a while, he could tell. He started to peel it off him, but Naruto began to cry in pain. He stilled his movements and placed both hands gently on his shoulders. He tried to not let the way the child flinched affect him personally, but it still bothered him a bit. Kakashi looked him in the eyes and said, "Naruto, I have to take off your diaper. It might hurt a little, but we have to do it. I'm sorry, okay? But I promise I won't hurt you again." His body stiffened and he lowered his head, but he didn't try to squirm away. Kakashi peeled the diaper off to see the whole groin area in flames from a massive diaper rash. The backside was even worse. He put the crying boy into the tub and gently washed the grime away. He had to refill the tub again due to all the dirt, but eventually he got the boy all clean. He lifted him out of the tub, dried him off, wrapped him in a towel, then took him into the kitchen. Setting him on a chair, he said, "Now you just wait here and I'll make you something good to eat, okay?" Kakashi was about to walk into the kitchen when he glanced back at Naruto. He had a serious expression on his face that looked just like Minato. Memories of their past together flashed through his mind. His heart began to race and he felt dizzy. "Oh no, not now," he thought as his hands became numb and his chest hurt. He stiffly walked into the kitchen and slowly slid down the counter until he was resting on the floor. With long, slow breaths, he tried to control his harsh breathing. Knowing that this could take a while, he shakily bit his thumb and summoned some of his Nikken. He explained the boy's situation with them and asked for their help. "To Urishi," he said, "watch the boy for me. Don't get too close though unless he wants you to. He gets scared real easy." He pointed to Shiba and Akino, "Go find the boy something to wear and a diaper." They nodded their heads and peeked around the corner to take a look at the little chibi, then ran out the doggy door to complete their mission. To Hei he said, "Go set up a meeting with the Hokage for me." Kakashi leaned his head against the counter and slowly began to count until his heartbeat returned to normal. Pakken sniffed then sat down next to him. "After 10 minutes, he asked, "Another panic attack, huh?" Kakashi just looked away from him and rose to stand. He said in a toneless, "I don't want to talk about it" kind of voice, "I need to make the kids some food." He moved to the refrigerator and removed some items. He started cooking while Pakken watched in silence for some time. As the minutes stretched on, Pakken finally spoke. "So what are you planning to do with the Jinchuriki pup?" Kakashi didn't stop cooking while he thought of an appropriate response. Finally, he shrugged his shoulders and replied honestly, "I haven't a clue. I just couldn't leave him there. I am all that he has. Minato would have been horrified to see what has become of his child. I have to do this for him." Pakken put his paw on Kakashi's leg and said, "You are in no shape to take care of a pup, especially one with problems of his own." "Nevertheless," he said as he picked up the plates of food, "it will be done." He walked over to Naruto, who was staring suspiciously at Urishi, and said, "Are you hungry, little man?" He set the plate of food in front of the child and sat down next to him. "That's Urishi and this is Pakken," he said, pointing to each respective dog. "They are ninja hounds and they will not hurt you. They might be watching over you occasionally." Naruto looked at each dog before glancing at his plate. His eyes widened at the sight of all that food. His stomach growled loudly. It was a traditional breakfast consisting of steamed rice, miso soup, broiled fish, tamagoyaki, rolled omelet, tsukmono pickles, nori, dried seaweed, and natto, fermented soybeans. He hesitantly reached out his hand towards it while looking at Kakashi. Seeing that he would not stop him, the blonde grabbed some tamagoyaki, shoved it in his mouth and began to chew furiously, while watching the copying from the corner of his eye. Kakashi observed the kid practically inhaled the rest of the food. A few seconds later, Naruto's face turned green. Kakashi knew what was about to happen a second before it did. "Oh crap," he said to himself as Naruto turned his head and emptied his stomach contents all over him. One of the most dangerous and powerful ninja the village of Konohagakure had ever produced sat in his chair with puke running down his chest and pooling in his lap. Its cause, a tiny 3-year-old boy, sitting next to him, weeping. He looked wryly at himself and shook his head. "Well, I guess I should have known better, huh, little man? You probably need something that is a lot easier to digest, and probably smaller amounts. I needed a shower anyways. Let's get cleaned up then I'll make you some okay." He took the towel that was wrapped around the boy and threw it on top of the vomit. Together they went to the bathroom and Kakashi turned on the shower. He took off his clothes with distaste and stepped into the shower. As the silver-haired man reached out for him, Naruto asked, "Jen?" "Yes, pup again. You made quite a mess on yourself," he said, pointing to the boy's chest. He brought him into the shower and cleaned him up. It soon became clear that Naruto had never been in a shower before. He held out his tiny hands and tried to catch the water as it fell. For one brief moment, Naruto turned his head up and flashed Kakashi a brief smile. "How can one little smile make me feel so good?" he wondered to himself. A loud scratch came from the door, so they got out of the shower and dried off. Kakashi opened the door to find his Nikken with clothes and a bag in their mouths. Kakashi dug through the bag to find diapers and diaper rash ointment. To Akino, he asked, "Where did you find this?" The tan, sunglass-wearing dog responded, "At the park. Some lady set the bag down and forgot it." He sat near Naruto and let the boy softly pet him. Shiba found a pair of black shorts and white shirt. They were a little big, but it was good enough for now. Kakashi dressed Naruto them himself. "Alright guys," he said to the Nikken, "thanks for your help. Akino, you can return this to the owner, then you all can go for now." They went back to the kitchen. Kakashi set the boy on the counter, started the rice cooker for the okayu, and cleaned the mess off the floor. The chibi's clear blue eyes watched the whole thing in silence. "Well," He's definitely not much of a talker, thought the Nin. The fact that the kid barely seemed to understand him made him feel like talking while he cooked. Naruto wouldn't judge him or try to give him stupid, useless advice like his friends had. He hesitantly began to speak, his voice raw with emotion. I'm so tired of hiding from everyone in my past because they bring up the memories of what has changed my life forever. I've been shutting them out for so long, experiencing anxiety and panic attacks whenever I am faced with someone or something that reminds me of what happened. I'm tired of living this way. Naruto watched him the whole time with a somber expression that matched Kakashi's tone. I see myself in you. You have been through a lot, huh? I bet you hate being scared all the time. We need to stick together, you and me. I want to help you learn how to trust again. And then perhaps you can teach me how to love for a second time. If we are lucky, maybe our nightmares will go away for good. Kakashi wiped a tear from his eye and smiled, a little embarrassed. Meh, just ignore me, kid. I'm not usually such a weakling. Your food is done now. You want to try to eat again? Yup. Alright, but this time I'm going to feed you. Kakashi fed him the rice porridge very slow so that he could keep it down this time. The boy had a funny look in his face the whole time. He clearly didn't know what to make of the man that was being so kind to him. He looked at him without hate in his eyes. He talked to him without a mean undertone. The man actually wanted to hear him talk. It scared him. It was so confusing. Naruto, we have to leave soon. We have some errands to run, and we have to see the Hokage. We have to get you some clothes and more food for us. He set the plate in the kitchen, then pulled up his mask and put on his sandals. Ready to go, he turned to pick up the chibi. He wasn't there. Naruto, where are you? We don't have time to fool around. Kakashi searched everywhere until he finally found him in the closet curled into a tight ball under a jacket and whimpering. Come on out. I won't let anyone hurt you, he said in a soothing voice. And no, he said trembling under the coat, bah. It's not bad. I told you I would keep you safe, he said. He talked to the boy for quite some time with no success before getting a little frustrated. Come on, let's go. He tried to gently pull the boy out, but he got bit for his efforts. Hissing in pain and swallowing a curse, he counted to 10 and tried again. I tell you what, you can hide inside that jacket while I carry you. How does that sound? That way no one can see you. Kakashi waited until the boy reluctantly nodded, then leaned into the closet and pulled Naruto out. He wrapped the coat around the boy and left the apartment. Kakashi figured that taking to the rooftops might scare the kids, so he walked. It had been a very long time since he had done that. The only time he ever walked the streets without his Umbu mask on was late at night when there weren't many people around. There were too many people pressed in around him, looking at him, wanting to talk to him, maybe wanting to. His heart began to beat fast. He felt sweat begin to trickle down. Naruto, pressed up to his chest, must have sensed his fear because he began to squirm and whine anxiously. Kakashi peeked open the jacket, hugged him to his body tight, and whispered, Sure, it's okay. We are both okay. We both just need to breathe. Taking his own advice, he breathed deep several times and willed himself to calm down. He felt like everyone was watching him, like an exhibit in a zoo. Man, I wish I didn't have to look at all these people. Too bad I don't have a book to read or something. Anything so that I don't have to look at their faces. He thought to himself. He opened the jacket open again and met Naruto's curious eyes. Hey pup, you want to fly like a ninja does? Please say yes, he thought. Talking about overcoming his fears was one thing, but actually doing it so suddenly was another. FY. We FY. Yup, FY. Naruto grinned up at the masked man and allowed the jacket to uncover his face. He pointed at the tall building next to them. Up. He shouted. Okay, don't be scared. I won't drop you. He smiled in relief, gripped the boy firmly, and ran up the nearest building. Soon he was racing across the rooftops. Naruto actually stuck his head and arms completely out of the coat, enjoying it thoroughly. There were other nin traveling that way, but no one bothered them. Soon they arrived at the Hokage Tower. Kakashi landed outside the office window and peered in. Sarutobi waved him in. You're late. Well, you see, I had a few issues I had to sort through this morning. Speaking of issues, I had an interesting visit with the head matron from the orphanage this morning. Sarutobi lit his pipe and continued, It would seem that one of her charges was kidnapped by a certain one-eyed shinobi with silver hair. That is very interesting, but I'll have you know, I have 2 eyes, said Kakashi in an attempt at levity. At the Hokage's lowered gaze he straightened up. I didn't kidnap him, per se, I rescued him. He has been treated horribly, and she was about to hurt him again. Just then the bundle in his arms moved and Naruto poked his head out of the jacket and looked up at the copy nin. FY Gen? He asked with a pleading expression. Kakashi gave his famous eye crinkle smile and said lowly, "Yep, pup, we'll fly again. Let me talk to the Hokage for now, okay?" Sarutobi, who had been watching their interaction intensely, was very pleased. He knew that the shinobi was slowly losing his humanity. He had suffered too many losses from such a young age and spent too many years in the Umbu Black Ops. Naruto needed someone to care for him, and Kakashi did as well. This could work out very well, but that didn't mean he would make it easy for him. "So, what are your intentions?" "I am going to take care of him from now on." It wasn't a question. "What about your position within the Umbu? You cannot do both. Also, your apartment is too small for the two of you." "I resign effective immediately. I have enough money to stop working for a while. When the time is right, and we are both ready, then I will move into my family house. For now, my apartment is fine for us." Hiruzen slowed a drag on his pipe and exhaled slowly, the smoke encircling his head for a moment before dispersing. "Are you sure you can do this, Kakashi? He has been through a lot in his short life and has been hurt many times. The villagers hate him, no matter what his father wanted for him. I am afraid if things continue, he will learn to hate Konohagakure. Can you give him the will of fire, Kakashi? Can you teach him to be a shinobi who will love, trust, revere and fight for the village's sake? You cannot keep him for a couple of months then just quit on him. If you agree to do all this, I want you to adopt him. Also, I know that you are such a loner. The boy will need to be able to go outside and make friends. He needs to become a true part of the village. Will you love him?" For one brief moment, he froze in panic, his thoughts racing. Am I really willing to do this? It is so permanent. Can I truly help him, or will I do more harm? How can I help him overcome his fear when I have so much of my own? An image of Minato popped into his head, helping him get over his father's suicide, teaching him about the will of fire, and sacrificing himself for the sake of the village. Yes, for that man, I will do anything. To do any less would be an abomination to his name. I will take care of him, sir. He will get everything he needs from me. I won't quit on him. I owe it to my sensei. I will protect him. I won't fail, sir. The 10th is fast approaching. Naruto usually winds up in the hospital on that day from some sort of accident or another. Some drunken villagers almost killed on his first birthday. It was just as bad last year. I was going to have the Umbu guard him this year. He looked at Kakashi expectantly. I will protect him, sir. Well, Sarutobi grumbled, I will check up on you two from time to time. Come back tomorrow for the paperwork. Oh, and one last thing, don't be afraid to ask for help. You have friends out there that would do anything for you if you would just let them in. Trust in them. Understood, sir. Kakashi bowed his head at the Hokage, then shined out of the building. As he stood on the roof, he removed the jacket from Naruto's body and held him up by his underarms so that they were face to face. With a very solemn expression, he said, It's just you and me now. It looks like I'm adopting you, I guess. I know I'm probably not the best choice for you, but I promise you now, Naruto, that I will teach you how to be a good man like your father and mother would have done. I can never truly replace them, but I can try and carry on for them. Guess you can call me daddy now. What do you think about that, pup? Can you say daddy? Duh. At Kakashi's nod, the little chibi lit up with pride at doing something right. Just as quickly, a questioning look crossed his face. He asked, "Fy Gen?" He chuckled, "Oh yes, pup, we will fly again." He put the boy on his shoulders, told him to hold on, and raced across the rooftops toward the market. Naruto twined his fingers through Kakashi's hair, gripped his neck in a choke hold with his skinny legs, and held on tight as they flew away. Seconds later, he laughed for the first time in his short life. They didn't go straight to the market. It was still so busy this time of the day, and the kid was having so much fun that Kakashi made 3 trips around the Konoha rooftops. Afterwards he felt very good. He was dripping with sweat, but it was a good workout. He cocked his head to look up at Naruto, who was still riding on his shoulders. You hungry again? Yup, he wiggled his body in excitement, then said a lot more that was completely beyond the copy Nin's comprehension. The kid really could talk. The trick was trying to understand it. Well, I'll just take that as a yes. He knew of a place that was very near the Umbu headquarters. It was mostly frequented by shinobi who ordered takeout, so the place should be pretty empty. Plus they served a dumpling dish that's real bland, perfect for the boy. Kakashi felt a tingle at the nape of his neck. Years of dangerous living had taught him to never ignore that feeling. He tensed and looked carefully around. He knew someone was watching him, but didn't see who it could be. Knowing that there was not a single person in the village that could harm him, he disregarded it for now, but kept on alert. Just let someone try something, he smirked to himself. He casually walked at a normal pace to the restaurant and entered. Taking a table in the rear with a view of the front window, he set the boy down on a chair and waited. Really? He thought sarcastically when he discovered who was following him. He wanted to hide under the table, but instead he slouched back in the chair, put his foot up on the other, and adopted an uncaring, cool expression. Guy Mato entered the restaurant in all his eye-searing, green spandex glory. Kakashi honestly liked the shinobi most of the time, but his clothes just made him want to cringe in embarrassment for the man. Yash, Kakashi Hatake, my eternal rival. I thought that was you. He gave his trademark nice guy pose with his thumbs up and a wink. I haven't seen you in a very long time. We need a contest of skill to compete in. I will show you what the power of youth can do. Huh, did you say something? Said Kakashi indifferently to Guy's annoyance. Kakashi, my rival, our record stands at 17-17. My youthful energy burns bright like the sun. We need a tiebreaker to prove who is more youthful. Guy's loud tones started to freak Naruto out. His head whipped back and forth, seeking an escape. The green man was blocking the exit, and there were strange men near the other exit. He jumped off his chair and dove into the Kapinin's lap. Kakashi was not wearing his Jonin vest, so the boy was able to pull up his shirt and bury his head within it. The chibi's hair tickled his chest. His tiny arms were wrapped around the nin's waist in a death grip. Kakashi sucked in his breath when Naruto's nails dug deep in his back. Guy, keep your voice down. You're scaring him. He rubbed the small back under his shirt. Guy was abashed when he saw the small boy tremble in fright. He decided to drop the act with his friend. Asking permission to join them, he pulled out a chair and sat down. With a smile, he jokingly said, "You seem to have a little parasite attached to you. Is this the reason why I haven't seen you in such a long time? I hadn't heard that you married." Kakashi sighed in frustration. This was something he wasn't really ready to explain yet. It's not a parasite, Guy. And no, I haven't married. It's my this is a he stammered, this is my adopted son, Naruto. And no, we are not going to discuss this here. Come over to my house later tonight, and I will tell you everything. The men went silent as the server came over and took their orders. He coaxed the chibi out of his shirt and handed him a piece of bread with the promise that more food was coming. The boy sat in his chair, but nervously edged away from Guy. He refused to look directly at him, but watched him from the corner of his eyes. Guy watched them fondly until he realized why the kid looked so familiar. Isn't he the? He stopped at Kakashi's hard look. Right, well anyways, are you up to a challenge, my rival? He grinned wide, showing his 100-watt smile. Kakashi got a sudden brilliant idea. He slyly said, I don't really have time for a competition right now, unfortunately. I still have quite a few things to do. Too bad we couldn't compete to see who can finish buying the things on my lists. Yash, what an incredible idea you have come up with, Kakashi. I accept your challenge, and if I do not win then I will run 100 laps backwards through the village on my hands. No, really, you don't have to do that, started Kakashi even though he knew it was a useless endeavor. He pulled his list for the market and showed them to Guy. What are nappies? Later after they had eaten, they walked to the market together. Kakashi still had to carry Naruto because he refused to put any of the boy's old clothes or shoes on him. He planned to burn the items later. The first place they went to was a children's clothing store. The men picked out several outfits for the chibi, but Kakashi adamantly refused to buy the green jumpsuit, much to Guy's disappointment. He was able to find a new jacket for the boy as well. This one had a large hood that Naruto could use to cover his head whenever things became too much for him. The color is not the greatest, but it is still too cute, he thought. Wait, did I just say cute? Oh man, I am really losing my edge. He looked up at the chibi clinging to his neck and smiled. He really is kinda cute too, the little chibi. After finding some sandals that would fit, he reached up, lifted him off his shoulders and set him on the ground. Kakashi put the new sandals on the boy. You have to walk a little now, pup. It's good for the muscles. Someday you might want to become a big strong shinobi, like your daddy. With a sad afterthought, he added to himself, like both of them. Naruto did not like this at all. He felt insecure and adrift without the man holding him. He clung to Kakashi's hand like it was a lifeline and looked up at him with watery eyes. Up? He pleaded. Not yet. Let's get you some clothes first, he said gently to Naruto, then to Guy, he said, are you ready to start? You can get the groceries and I'll find a bed for the kid. Whoever gets back to my place first wins. He pulled his hand away from the boy and gave money to Guy. Naruto latched onto Kakashi's leg and hid his face. Let the powers of youth prove what splendid ninja we are on us this day. I shall win, Kakashi, my eternal rival. Huh, did you say something? ARGH, you are just too cool. Alright, start. Guy ran off as fast as he could towards the food market. Kakashi smirked to himself for his cleverness. He grabbed Naruto's hand and walked up to the woman operating the cash register. He put all the clothes and a box of diapers on the counter. He gave the woman one of his eye smiles and said, "I also want to purchase one of those little kid beds that you sell." He looked down and winked at the chibi, paid the woman, and took his bags. Naruto was clinging to his leg, so Kakashi grabbed him one arm around the buttocks and hefted him to his chest. "Are you ready to go home now, pup?" he asked after he gave the woman his address for the delivery. Yup, he said tiredly. Just then, he spotted a stuffed teddy bear. He stared at it wistfully. Kakashi saw where he was looking and picked up the bear. It seemed like such a silly thing to him, but the boy clearly wanted it. He paid for it and handed it to his shy little son. Naruto tentatively touched the soft fur. At Kakashi's encouragement, he stroked it then cuddled it against him. His timid smile wormed its way into the nin's heart. He held his bear tightly in the crook of his arm, stuck his thumb in his mouth, and lay his head on Kakashi's shoulder. He fell asleep before they had even left the store, which Kakashi was relieved about. Everywhere they went, he couldn't help but notice the glares from the villagers. He sent more than a few back. Naruto didn't even wake when they arrived at their apartment, or when Kakashi changed his diaper. After Kakashi laid the boy down in his bed, the stress of the day finally hit him. His body began to shake as he had a flashback. This one was of the time after his father died. As the sharp memories invaded his senses, Kakashi slumped on the couch, boneless and helpless. He moaned, "Please God, not again. Please, no more." Everywhere he walked, people whispered, "Son of a traitor, too powerful for one so young, could be dangerous." The small boy was very young and didn't know what to believe. His father was everything to him, a living legend. The white fan was the pride of the village. Kakashi worked so hard to get out of his shadow, and now he was hated. Minato tried his best to help him, and it worked on the outside. He learned to cope. If only he hadn't told his father that he hated him, and was ashamed of him right before he died. A part of him just knew that his father killed himself because of his son's words. The white fan appeared before him. His back was turned and he refused to look at Kakashi. "Please, father, forgive me for not believing in you. I am so sorry. You were right to do what you did. You tried to protect your comrades. I understand now." The image before his eyes faded away, leaving the Nin feeling bereft and wondering if he would ever find absolution. He returned to the present quickly, but the feelings that memory brought on stayed with him. He was sitting on the couch trying to meditate when Guy arrived a half an hour later, shocked that his rival beat him. After Kakashi put the groceries away, he pulled out a large bottle of sake to share. "It's not like I am hiding from myself. I am just being social like the Hokage told me to be," he convinced himself. Just as he was about to begin his tale, there was a knock at the door. He was very surprised to see his old friend, Asuma Sarutobi. Kakashi had been purposely avoiding him for a long time. He was way too perceptive for comfort. "Asuma, what brings you here?" he said coolly. "My dad told me about what you are doing with the kid," he said, lighting up a cigarette and handing him a small bag. "I think it's great, so I brought you something." "Wow," said Kakashi, pulling out a book on helping children overcome traumatic events. Wow. "Thanks, Asuma. I haven't been sure how to help the poor kid. This should help a lot. You want to come in?" "I was about to tell Guy the whole story, but you have to put the cigarette out. Naruto is sleeping in the room. I can't tell the Hokage to put his pipe out, but I can kick your sorry butt out for it," he joked. Kakashi told the shinobi the whole story. He drank a lot during the telling, but no one seemed to notice. He actually was relaxed and comfortable after they left. He took off his mask and settled deeper in the couch. He drank the rest of the bottle of sake and was considering getting another when he heard Naruto in the other room cry out. Kakashi rushed in, alert for any danger, but it was just a nightmare. He leaned down over the bed, intent on comforting the boy, but he suddenly screamed shrilly, fully awake, and absolutely terrified. Kakashi's heart began to pound in response to the child's fear. "It's okay, son. Daddy's here. Don't be afraid. It was just a bad dream." Naruto scrambled off the bed and under it, whimpering and shivering with fear. "Me sorry," he cried out. "There is nothing to be sorry for, Naruto. It was just a bad dream. Please come out. Tell Daddy what made you so scared." "No. Mel ba hurt ba Mel," cried Naruto to Kakashi's confusion. He had no idea whatsoever about what the boy was trying to say. He tried to pull him out, but Naruto fled out of the bedroom into the living room. He picked up the empty bottle of sake and looked accusingly at Kakashi. "Mel ba, me heard." He dropped a bottle, ran to the corner of the room, and curled into a ball. He rocked himself violently back and forth. He looked even more frightened than he did the other night when the Nin found him. His heart hurt at the scene before him. Kakashi picked up the bottle and stared at it for a second. Some drunken villagers almost killed him, whispered the voice of the Hokage in his mind. Oh God, what have I done? He cried out. He turned towards the child, who flinched away from him. Never before had he hated himself as much as this moment. Damn it, he roared, throwing the bottle. The crash as it shattered against the wall made the boy scream out hysterically and grab handfuls of his hair, trying to rip them out. His eyes held that deadened look that Kakashi had hoped never to see again. He ran over to Naruto and pulled his hands away from his head. His little body went stiff for a moment, then he began to thrash wildly about. His nails scratched Kakashi's arms and face, and he bit him several times, drawing blood. Still, Kakashi did not let him go. He cradled the now limp boy like an infant. Those dead eyes pierced his soul. He screamed out, "Come back to me, come back. Please, son, come back. This is all my fault," he started crying. "Please don't hurt yourself. I'm so sorry, son. Daddy is so very sorry. I won't hurt you, I swear." Tears fell from his face onto Naruto's head. The guilt of scaring his son because of his selfish actions was tearing him apart. What is wrong with me? Why do I continue to mess up? Why can't I do anything right? Oh God, please forgive me, son. The sound of his father's grief pulled Naruto out of his panic state. He looked in shock at the weeping man. Something inside him told him that he needed his help. He threw his arms around him and hugged him. "Dad, that's okay." This time it was Naruto's turn to be the lifeline for Kakashi. He kissed the boy and held on to him for a long time, then vowed that he would become a better man and a better father. That night, an hour after they ate dinner, Kakashi looked thoughtfully at the listless boy hugging his stuffed bear and rubbing the fur on his face. He needed to do something to atone for his guilt. "Hey pup, let's go to the park." He knew that Naruto was scared to be in public, but he also knew that he had to find a way for the boy to overcome his fears. "Park? No, USI, he said, shaking his head. "Daddy will be with you." "No, USI, he said firmly. "You can wear your new jacket. It is very special. It has a nice big hood. Look, stay here, I'll be right back." He went to the closet and pulled out the orange coat. He had to admit, he didn't like the bright color, but the hood was pretty cool. It had dog ears on the top. He showed it to Naruto. His eyes brightened as he looked at it. Oh, pity. He let Kakashi put it on him, then looked in the mirror at himself. He pulled the hood up and his face disappeared within the folds. "Yeah, it is pretty and you look very cool, little man. So what do you think? We can fly to the park and then Daddy will summon his Niken for you to play with." That worked, thought Kakashi as he saw his son's face light up. He grabbed some dog toys, put their sandals on and put his mask up. When he was outside, he put the boy on his shoulders, ran up the side of the building, and raced across the rooftops towards the park. Naruto let go of his hair and threw his arms out wide with a chuckle. There weren't very many children there. There was only a few that looked around Naruto's age. Kakashi summoned his pack and gave the chibi one of the balls. As they started throwing the balls, a little boy, slightly older than Naruto, walked over to them. He had red fang markings on his cheeks, messy brown hair, and pointed canine teeth. "You got Niken? Can I play with you?" Kakashi handed him a ball when Naruto shyly nodded. "This is Naruto. What's your name?" he asked. "Kiba. I like your dogs. Did you know that my clan works with dogs? I'm gonna have my own dog someday too. My mom said so." Naruto looked at him shyly, and then asked, "Play with me?" The boys played for an hour. Naruto came out of his shell, running around the park with the dogs at his feet, screaming his head off and laughing joyously. Kakashi kept an eye on them while he read the parenting book Osama had given him. Reading made him feel so calm in the public surroundings. He didn't once think about people watching him. When Kiba's mother, Sum, came to bring her son home, Naruto became frightened and ran to Kakashi. He buried his head in his shirt again. The Nin sighed patiently and pulled him out. "Your friend is going home now. Be a good boy and tell him goodbye, son." Naruto reluctantly nodded and walked over to Kiba, eyeing Sum warily. "Bye, Kiba. You want to play with me tomorrow?" "Pay yup!" shouted Naruto happily. He carefully scrutinized Sum to gauge her reaction. He knew the exact moment when she figured out who Naruto was. He was prepared to tear her apart if she made one wrong move. Kakashi stiffened up, which shifted her attention to him. "Kakashi, what are you doing with this boy?" she asked suspiciously. "He is my son now," he said defensively. "What of it?" She sharply looked him up and down before smiling with a wide feral look. "Good. I have been after Sarutobi for a while now to find him a home. You're a little young though, don't you think? I may be only 17, but I have been on my own since the age of 5. I am completely capable of caring for this boy, he said gravely. I can see that. See that you keep him safe. The 10th is a few days away. If you need any help, come see me anytime. Oh, and by the way, Hataki, he is more than welcome anytime to play with my son. Kakashi blinked in surprise, and then bowed his head respectively towards her. Thank you, Inuzuka-sama. She laughed as she walked away with Kiba and called over her shoulder, You can drop that Sama crap, we're gonna be friends now. Just call me Tsum. Kakashi released his Niken and took the smiling boy's hand. Together they walked into the fading twilight towards their home, the tall silver-haired Jonin and small blonde Chibi. The little boy chattered the whole way, while Kakashi patiently listened, not understanding much of what he said, and nodded his head, so happy that his pup had found his voice. There was only one bad moment when someone in the distance slammed a door. Naruto jumped about a foot and pulled his hood up and shivered, but did not demand to be held. Naruto was too excited to sleep, so Kakashi took him to the bathroom for a bath. The book said to talk a lot to a child that has traumatized. It said that is good for the child to talk about their feelings and experiences, but Naruto was not equipped to do that yet, so he decided to do the talking. He had also thought that one good way to conquer his own fears would be to find something else that was more important than them. He held that something in his hands right now, in the form of a tiny, almost 3-year-old boy. As he bathed his son, he told him of Obito's death. It was my fault. I was so focused on duty, and so willing to sacrifice my comrades. Obito told me that anyone who was willing to abandon their friends was worse than scum. He was right. I would have let Rin die for the sake of our mission. Obito and I saved her, but it was too late for him. He gave me the Sharingan eye, you know. I wish now that I could have been a better friend to him while he was still alive. He started to smile in remembrance. I just didn't understand him. He was always late and making lame excuses. I was so busy trying to be the perfect shinobi, trying to prove that I was not a traitor like people thought my father was. I just didn't understand Obito. Rin told me that she loved me, but I wasn't worthy of it. I almost let her be killed. Obito loved her, and he never got a chance to tell her before he died. For the longest time, well actually sometimes even now, I think it should have been me that died that day. I began to act like him after he died. It is who I am now. I don't want to die anymore, not while I have you. Kakashi suddenly stopped moving and his words repeated in his head, I don't want to die. He smiled and said aloud in a wonder-filled voice, I don't want to die. Kakashi plucked Naruto out of the bath, wrapped him in a fluffy towel, and hugged him. He dressed him in pajamas and set him on the bed. He then combed his hair and laid him on the bed. He covered him with a blanket and was about to leave the room, when the boy whimpered. No. Do you want me to lay down with you? Kakashi could tell he was scared. He put on his pajama bottoms and lay down next to his son, who edged away from him staring at him distrustfully 1 minute then hopefully the next. Smiling to himself, Kakashi pretended to fall asleep. With his eyes closed, he debated whether to snore. Deciding against it, he continued to breath deep. Within a few minutes, he sensed the chibi moving stealthily towards him. Well, as stealthily as an almost 3-year-old could. He moved closer, put his head on Kakashi's chest, and his thumb in his mouth. His teddy bear lovingly held tight in his other hand as he fell asleep. Kakashi stayed awake staring at the ceiling for a long time in contemplation, his arm wrapped around the boy cuddled on him. He could feel his little heart beating in sync to his own and it relaxed him. He began to meditate, thinking of the day's events. It had never occurred to him before why Guy acted the way he did. Maybe that act of his is just a coping mechanism, just like the way I act like Obito. Maybe everyone else is just as broken as I am. Maybe I am not so different after all. Asuma is leaving to join the 12 Guardian Ninja. Genma is always making jokes and acts so happy, but is he really? I don't think so. I've seen his true face when people aren't looking. Maybe I should take Naruto and his little friend to the training grounds with me. We could do a little training and hang out with some of my fellow shinobi. It should help the boy be less afraid of being outside. Maybe me too. His thoughts were interrupted when something cold and wet hit his chest. Naruto was sleeping with his mouth slightly open. He drooled. He drooled a lot. Kakashi pulled the boy's thumb out of his mouth and closed his mouth. He eased himself out of the bed and jumped in the shower. He eyed the growing pile of laundry, the clothes can that was starting to fill with dirty diapers, and grimaced. Changing dirty diapers is something no elite shinobi should ever have to do. There should be some sort of law. Man, if I could turn that into a weapon, he thought while envisioning a fight with Guy. He would probably say that the power of a youthful dirty diaper would win the battle. He pictured Guy and himself throwing loaded diapers at each other like kunai. Then with a huge wet splat, Guy with poop all over his face. Kakashi snorted to himself. First things first, tomorrow he planned to teach the chibi how to use the toilet. He lay back in the bed with his book, finding several things that should really help. When Naruto began to rock back and forth and moan, Kakashi was ready. He drew him into his arms and pressed him to his chest, rubbing his back and whispering soothing words when his nightmare took hold. "Sure. It's okay, little man, Daddy's here." When Naruto woke up warm and safe the second morning, he was confused. He kept expecting to wake up at that bad place with all the mean ladies and the older kids that were mean to him too. The man lying next to him had his arm around him. It felt nice, but sometimes people were nice to him to get him to come near them, then they would hurt him. They always hurt him. Sometimes they made him sleep outside. But still, he felt so warm and comfortable. Would that man hurt him? He got out of the bed and stood in the corner so he could watch him. He was hungry. He got cold, standing there alone. He tugged at his wet diaper. The urine irritated his rash and it hurt. He wanted it off, but his footed pajamas wouldn't come off. He pulled at the clothing until he was able to yank an arm out then the other. He tried to push it down, but it was stuck. He gave a whine of frustration. Kakashi heard the noise and awoke. Naruto was not in the bed with him. He looked around the room and spotted him in the corner watching him. He had that look of distrust in his eyes and his pajamas were half off. "What's the matter, pup? Are you okay?" he asked. "You don't have to be afraid of me. I will never hurt you." He wasn't really expecting the boy to answer him, but he had hoped for some sort of acknowledgement. Sighing in helplessness and frustration, he got out of bed, crouched in front of the boy, and said gently, "Do you need a little help?" Naruto looked up at him and nodded shyly. "Off wet," he said in a timid and hopeful way. Kakashi smiled at him and pulled the zipper down. He took off his clothes and the diaper, much to the boy's relief. He frowned when he saw how red and blistered Naruto still was. "I think we should stop by the hospital today because this looks real bad." He slathered it with cream and was about to put another diaper when he remembered what he had decided to do last night. He picked up the boy, set him on his feet, then led him to the bathroom. "Daddy's going to show you how to do something that's really cool and then we will eat. You're hungry, right, son?" His little face lit up. "Hungry, yup." Kakashi was supposed to meet with the Hokage at 11 that morning, but after eating breakfast and dealing with the chibi, he found himself looking at the clock, which read 9:30. Someone knocked at the door. It was Naruto's new bed. He kept saying, "F.O. me? F.O. me?" It was the first time he had his own bed. It was very small, so Kakashi was able to set it up in his room. As he looked at the now much smaller space in his room, he thought that maybe they should get a bigger place. There was his family home, but he just wasn't ready to face that yet. He looked over at his new pup, running his small hands reverently over the ninja on his blanket, and smiled. "What an awesome little man," he thought. "At 11, he's officially all mine." He looked at the clock again, 10:15 now. He still had to take Naruto to see a medic. "Oh well, can't be helped now," he said as he shrugged and began the long ordeal of getting the chibi to leave the house. He could not wait for the day when Naruto was not so afraid to leave the house. He did not want to force the kid, but he also knew it was unhealthy for him to stay indoors so much. 30 minutes later, Kakashi walked out of his apartment, sucking his bleeding hand and holding on to his son with the other. The little chibi's eyes were red-rimmed from crying, but he was happy now. He was going to get to fly with the man and get a new toy. As Kakashi neared the large 3-storied hospital, he began to sweat profusely. He really hated this place. He would much rather do his healing in the safety and comfort of his own home, but there was no help for it. Naruto came first. The poor little guy was in pain every time he wet himself. He also wanted to have a doctor give him a full exam. The boy had been starved, beaten, and who knows what else. He wanted to make sure he was doing the right things in regards to Naruto. As soon as he entered, he took the chibi off his shoulders and set him down next to him. Naruto grasped his pant leg and followed him to the reception counter. An older woman was operating the station. "Can I help you?" she asked. "I need a medic to see my son. He has a severe rash." A cute nurse led him to a small examination room and told him to put the boy on the table. When Kakashi took off Naruto's hooded jacket, she noticed the whisker marks. Her flirty manner stopped immediately as she rushed from the room. They waited for an hour before Kakashi got angry. He told the boy to wait 1 second and stormed out of the room. Spotting a doctor, he seized the man and hissed, "This is a bunch of crap. You're a doctor and I demand you look at my son right now." The doctor knew who was in that room. Everyone did. He stammered, "Now see here, you cannot force me to look at that little demon." "Are you so sure? You do know who I am, right?" he said coolly. "You have to ask yourself, who are you more afraid of, a small 3-year-old or me?" "Well?" The doctor gulped nervously, nodded to the famous Chunin and followed him to the exam room. The little boy was hiding under the table, hugging his knees and crying. He thought the man left him here in this strange place. When he opened his eyes at the squeak of the door, his heart leapt in shock. He was back. He scrambled out from under the table and threw himself into the man's arms, sobbing in relief. Dada, EWR. Kakashi's heart soared when the boy said Dada. He caressed his head, wiped the tears from his cheek and said with a hitch, I promised you that I would never leave you, pup. I'm your daddy. He put Naruto on the table and took off his clothes so the physician could look at him. He held the boy the entire time, watching the doctor with a dangerous look in his eye, daring him to do or say something stupid. The doctor gave him a written list of his findings. Reading through it, Kakashi wished he could have been surprised. Instead, he felt numb with melancholy. The kid has really suffered a lot in his short life. He crumpled the paper in his hand and threw it away. He never wanted to read a list like that again. Ibiki was probably the only person he knew that had been through worse treatment. After getting a shot for the infection and some strong cream, they were able to leave, but not before Kakashi swiped a lollipop from the nurse to give to the boy. Sticking it in his mouth, he put him on his shoulders and headed toward the Hokage Tower. This was the latest he would ever be. We will get your toy when I am finished with the paperwork, pup. They arrived at the tower nearly 3 hours late. The Nin took the boy down from his shoulders and grabbed his sticky little hand. He touched his silver hair, discovering remnants of the lollipop in it, and gave a grimace. Looking down at the chibi, he had to smile for there was green dribbling down both corners of his mouth. The boy pulled the sucker out with a pop and held it towards Kakashi. EW1 Dada? No thanks, pup. Daddy will pass for now. He gave a chuckle and led the boy to the door. Everyone kept trying to stop Kakashi when they saw him with the adorable chibi. Too many of the adoring looks tuned into distrust when they discovered the boy's identity. The copy Nin was leaking small amounts of killing intent by the time they finished walking through the building and reached the Hokage's office. He had to stop and breathe deep several times to gain control of himself. He was scaring the poor kid. He just wanted to get adoption papers and get the hell out of there. He got a sudden horrible sinking feeling when he walked into the office with the boy in his arms. The matron from the orphanage and several counselor members were standing around, clearly waiting for them. Ma, sorry we are late. I had to take Naruto to the hospital. He had a terrible rash, which was clearly caused by neglect, he said, giving the woman a dirty look beneath his mask. Don't you dare blame me, all children get rashes from time to time, she huffed in an affronted voice. A rash so bad it got infected? I do not think so. He should be able to use the toilet by now. Instead, he was wearing a diaper that was obviously dirty for a long time. That is called neglect, and he has done nothing to deserve such abominable and repulsive treatment. Kakashi was yelling by the time he finished saying what was on his mind. Well, she sniffed haughtily, I'll look into it when I take the boy back with me. Kakashi's face turned white. He turned to the Hokage and stared at him in disbelief. What is she talking about? He asked in a deadly whisper, hardly daring to believe what he just heard. Kakashi saw the deep sadness reflected in his eyes before Sarutobi lowered his head, his hat shielding his eyes. He folded his hands in front of him and said regretfully, the council has rejected your adoption application. They feel that you are too young to have such a huge responsibility set on your shoulders. The copy Nin hugged the boy in his arms close to himself. Naruto, ever sensitive to the emotions of people around him, threw his arms around Kakashi's neck and buried his head in his shoulder. He knew something bad was happening. He quivered uncontrollably and gave a soft whine. The sound angered him. How dare they scare my son like this? How dare they even presume to take my son away from me? There is no way fate could be that cruel. You cannot be serious. You cannot take him away from me. I can take care of him. I am not too young for this. I have been killing for this village since the age of 7. Was I too young for that responsibility? He was too stunned to move. It felt like the worst nightmare he had ever experienced. He had only spent 2 days with the boy, but he had bonded with him. He thought, why can't they see the anguish this will cause both of us? I can't let him go back to that hellish place. He can't take much more. Koharu harshly reprimanded him. It has nothing to do with your duty as a shinobi. You are a trained killer, not a father. Sarutobi looked sharply at the council member. All of us in this room are trained killers and some of our parents too. I believe Hatake is good for the boy. Danzo stepped forward and said mildly, you have always been too soft, Hiruzen. I think I should take the boy. I am capable of protecting him and the demon inside of him. He gazed at Kakashi then and said snidely, it doesn't matter that you feel that your actions were justified, you attacked an unarmed civilian. You know the shinobi laws, Hatake. Kakashi bristled. There was something off with this man. That is the real reason why you are denying me, isn't it? He did not like Danzo at all and thought that Naruto would be in even greater danger if he went to him. You're not even a member of the council. Why are you here? He snapped. Watch your tongue. That is none of your business, kid. Kakashi was about to retort, but the Hokage interjected, this is getting us nowhere. We need some time to review all the information and discuss what must be done. You cannot allow Naruto to back to that place, it would be heartless. You know he won't be safe there. He stared at the matron as he said that. She glared at him. Let him stay with me, please, Lord Hokage. The other elder, Hamura, moved in front of the Nin and said, no, not until we have finished our investigation. He will stay at the orphanage until we make a decision. You are absolutely forbidden from entering the premises. You have already attacked that poor woman once. Need I remind you that she is a civilian? Shinobi in this village are to protect our people, not assault them. The Hokage slowly stood up, walked around his desk, and put his hand on Kakashi's arm. Gravely he said, there is nothing you can do about this now, you must let them take him. I swear to you that I will do what I can. But who will protect him? Who will care for him? He asked almost to himself. He then shook off the Hokage's arm and strode over to the desk. Setting Naruto on it, he unbuttoned his overalls and took off his shirt. He said not a word to anyone as they watched him in bafflement. Finished, he turned around and pointed to the naked boy. Look at him, every one of you, he demanded. There are no bruises, no cuts, nothing except this rash. Now look right here, he said, pointing to the boy's back. See that scar, and this one, then he lifted Naruto's arm, this one too. He has 5 broken bones already at 3 years old. Those were no accidents. In 1 week's time, whether I get him back or not, I will be inspecting him. If I find so much as a scratch on him, or that his rash has not been taken care of, I will show you all why I am listed in nearly every hidden village's bingo book. Danzo became indignant instantly and stepped forward. Is that a threat, Hatake? He responded harshly, no, that's a promise. Kakashi redressed the boy, brushed his wispy hair off his forehead, kissed him and picked him up. Then he fixated his gaze at the Hokage and pleaded in a near whisper one last time, sir, please reconsider. Don't do this to us. The Hokage just turned away, defeated and miserable, and nodded to the civilian woman. The matron of the orphanage grabbed Naruto from Kakashi and tried to take him out of the room. He reached out and grabbed the Jonin's vest in a death grip, then gave out a terrified high-pitched scream. He arched his back away from the woman and tried to get back into Kakashi's arms. Dada no one dada, he cried. Kakashi clenched his fists, feeling so helpless and angry. The woman pulled his fingers from the vest and stepped back from the Kopinin. Naruto held his arms out and begged for Kakashi. He began to thrash when she walked away with him towards the door. Panicked, he kicked his legs, screamed, and lashed out. His fingernails dug deep, bloody grooves in her cheek, while his teeth caused similar injury to her arm. She dropped him to the floor in surprise and pain. He quickly dashed away from her to Kakashi and seized him tightly. Dada. Kakashi picked Naruto up and wrapped his arms protectively around him. He rubbed his back gently, then looked at Hiruzen, radiating fury. You see? This is so wrong. How could you allow them to do this to him? I am sorry, Hatake. You cannot do anything about it for now. You need to let her take him back to the orphanage, said Hiruzen regretfully. He knew it was wrong too, and he vowed to himself to do something about it as quickly as possible, but his hands were tied at this moment. After he was able to calm the boy in his arms down, Sarutobi gathered everyone and left him alone to say his goodbyes. He sat with him in the chair, cradled his small body next to his and cried. Naruto was so scared and helpless. All he had ever wanted to do was protect the boy. He never in his life would have ever imagined he could love something this much. It transcended everything he had ever felt before. The ripping pain in his chest made it difficult to breathe. He had to say something, but didn't want it to be a goodbye. He had to say what was in his heart. He took a deep breath, then found the right words. I am so sorry, Minato, I failed you again. I couldn't prevent your death, and I couldn't protect your son. Kakashi scrubbed his face in sorrow and tried valiantly to hold back his depression. I should have known better. I should have known that I am too tainted. He pulled the confused boy close to him, pulled down his mask and kissed his forehead. I don't know if it's wrong, but you make me feel hopeful. Hopeful that I can actually have a future. I will find a way for us to be together. I promise. I just want you to know before I leave, I have found a reason to change whom I used to be and start over new. I am starting to see who I was meant to be. That reason is you. You have to go with that lady, son. I will not let you down, I will come for you. I promise you, I will find a way. Don't be afraid, okay, it will not be for long. Don't give up while I work it out. He heard the Hokage returning, so he kissed him one last time and said, I love you, Naruto. When the door opened, Kakashi was ready. He handed the child to the Hokage without a word and staring, his eye not once wavering. Sarutobi was about to say something, but before he could, Kakashi's body flickered out of the building. Sarutobi held the crying child in his arms with great tenderness. He felt older than he had ever felt before. The weight of the world seemed to settle on his shoulders. He called the matron for the orphanage to come in and warned her, "Take good care of this boy. I do not know what your plan is, but I must inform you, it will not work. The Hitaki boy is the best person to raise this child, and I will do everything in my power to see it happen. Kakashi informed me of the circumstances regarding his attack on you the other day, and now that I have seen the scars I can't help but think he was telling the truth. There are many people who work there. I had nothing to do with it, but I will look into it." "See that you do," he said in disbelief of the woman's words. "I will have 2 Ambu escort you safely back. They will be staying there to protect the boy for a while. I will not allow him to be hurt again on the anniversary of the Kyuubi's attack." After she left, he sat alone in his office for a long time. He pulled out his crystal ball and watched the boy taken safely to the orphanage. The Ambu that carried him did not have an easy time of it, as the boy cried and thrashed the whole way. He fell asleep in exhaustion by the time they arrived. Hiruzen put it away before the child woke up. He did not want to witness the boy's reaction when he realized where he was once again. He felt old and tired at that moment. When Kakashi exited the tower, the sun was shining brightly, winking off the waterways in a cheerful manner that seemed to cruelly mock him. All he saw were blue eyes filled with the anguish and accusation from his betrayal. He walked aimlessly, not knowing where he was going and not caring either. He came out of the blackness to realize he had stopped, and widening his eyes, he saw the bar. He desperately wanted to drink until he forgot his little pup, his son. He stood there for a long time, torn between the desire to drink into oblivion or to fulfill his oath to Naruto. He took a step forward towards the building, then stumbled back in horror. He had made a promise to himself and his son, never again try to solve his problems with alcohol. That only made it worse. How was it possible to fall in love with something so fast? He should not have been capable of such feeling. He thought that part of his soul was destroyed forever. He did not get to spend a lot of time with the little chibi, but every moment burned itself into his memory, the loneliness and desolation in his eyes when he found him, which so matched his own feelings, and the terror when he took him back to the orphanage that night. The surprise and pleasure when he came back into the hospital room and didn't abandon him. He also remembered the first time he laughed when Kakashi raced across the rooftops. He had so many plans to make the kid laugh again. Then this morning when he showed the boy how to use the toilet. The glint of pride when he successfully copied the nin, and the way he strutted out of the bathroom, made him proud too. In addition, his fighting spirit, it was there, hidden deep, but it was there. When the copy nin forced him to go outside, the boy fought back with recklessness and tenacity that Kakashi knew was inside him. He had a lot of his mother inside him. He had been so looking forward to discovering every facet to his personality. It did not matter that Naruto was not his flesh and blood, he was his son. His increasingly shaking hand covered his eye in an attempt to control his rage and desperation. He couldn't breathe, not without Naruto. He suddenly had an urge to kill everyone. Why should they be going about their lives when he was so desolate? What did he do to deserve this? Why did they get to be so happy when his world was so bleak and dead? He looked down at his green sucker-stained hand and clenched it. He could not break down, not here, not with all these people around him. His rage melted away and changed. He stood still and tried to control his rising panic. He just could not break down here. Gone was his tightly controlled mask that everyone saw, all that remained was the raw, naked emotion of a broken man. He shoved his tightly fisted hands into his pockets, and turned around to see Guy inches from his face. "Yash Kakashi, my rival, where is that supremely youthful specimen from yesterday?" he shouted before he got a good look at Kakashi. "I have a gift for him, what's wrong?" What he saw shocked him. He had never witnessed such pain before. He's gone, they took him away from me, Guy," he stuttered. His eye held a pleading expression that was not lost on the observant shinobi. Guy understood immediately what he needed to do. "I owe you one, my rival," he said in an undertone, then cold-cocked the famous copy nin of Konohagakure. He quickly caught the now unconscious Kakashi before he hit the ground, threw him over his shoulder, and ran away faster than he had ever before. Seconds later, he arrived at his friend's apartment building, going through the window and set him on the couch. He went into the kitchen and made them some tea. It wasn't long before Kakashi awoke. Rubbing his jaw ruefully, he sent Guy a grateful look. "Thank you? How did you know I was about to lose it?" he asked. "We've known each other since we were but mere youths. Now tell me what happened." He leaned forward and put a cup of tea in the nin's limp hands, then one for himself. His attention never wavered as he looked at the pale nin. His grave manner was so unlike him, for which Kakashi was grateful to see. While Guy patiently waited, he held the warm cup in his hands for a bit, trying to slow his speeding thoughts. Finally, he answered, the council refused my adoption request and took my son back to the orphanage. They are using the fact that I attacked a civilian to justify their actions, but I just know there is more to it than that. Did you? Who did you attack? He asked in surprise and shock. I already told you about her, the matron from the orphanage. When she was about to abuse Naruto, I grabbed her hand and threw her across the room in my anger. When he saw Guy's expression, he defended himself. It wasn't hard enough to hurt her. Anyway, I could not allow her to harm an innocent child. You've seen him. That evil woman has traumatized him. What else could I do? What can I do? He looked down at the cup in his hands and said to himself, I can face the world when I see him smile. Guy considered what Kakashi said thoughtfully before answering, I am very happy that you found someone that means so much to you. You know, any man can be a father, but it takes a special person to be a dad. You will get him back, my friend. I know it. You need to prove her misdeeds, especially if that is the only reason why they are denying your application. You were justified in what you did. The law clearly allows for defending the weak and powerless, and that certainly is the case here. How do I prove it? The council forbids me from entering the orphanage. Guy, there is no one there who will protect him. I promised I would keep him safe. If I go there, I may never get him back, but if I don't, he could be hurt. Kakashi stood up quickly in suppressed rage and paced back and forth. His fury changed into depression, and he sat back down on the couch. He covered his face with his hands before he continued, What is wrong with me? Everyone I get close to suffers. I thought Naruto was my redemption and that my curse was finally broken. Guy moved closer to his good friend and gravely replied, Yes, I know that you have had a lot of tragedy and guilt in your life, Kakashi. We all have emptiness inside and questions that do not have any answers. You need someone to blame, so you chose yourself. You have to stop that. You know, I believe the 4th Hokage changed the minimum academy graduation age because of people like us. You were 5 and I was 7. We were just too young to deal with the reality of a shinobi's life. The death and destruction we witnessed and caused during the war is nothing young kids our age should have ever been a part to. We never learned the proper way to deal with those types of trauma. He hated what it did to you, what it did to all of us. It was war, Guy. We did what we had to do. We need to stop speaking of the past and focus on the present. What can I do about my son? Danzo Shimura was there with the council. I cannot help but believe that he is behind all of this. When I was Umbu, we were investigating him, but we were never able to find any proof. The man is very cunning and he holds a lot more power than people think. We believe that he was running some sort of secret paramilitary organization. What if that is the reason why he wants Naruto? What if he wants to turn him into some sort of weapon? I will not allow that man to get a hold of my boy. Guy gave him a sly smirk. You may not be allowed to enter the orphanage, but there is nothing forbidding me from doing so. He stood up, thwacked Kakashi hard on the shoulder, and said cheerfully, You think everyone close to you suffers, huh? I think you just don't realize how many people care for you. Let me show you. The taijutsu master bit his thumb, made rapid hand signs and summoned a few of his messenger tortoises. All right, I want you guys to find Genma, Kurenai, Asuma, and Hate. Tell them to meet me here as soon as possible. The tortoises disappeared with a pop, leaving the two men alone. It did not take long for everyone to arrive. Within a half of an hour, everyone had gathered together while Guy explained the whole situation. They made a plan, which actually made Kakashi hopeful. As he looked upon his fellow Jonin, he couldn't believe that they were all so willing to help him. He felt so humbled by their show of support. Guy was the first to leave on what he called the puppy protection mission. He carried a small special bag from Kakashi to give to the boy. At the orphanage, Naruto was still asleep on a bed the Umbu set him on. The matron fingered the wound on her cheek and the bandaged arm, then looked down at him in hatred. It made her angry to see him sleeping there on that bed as if he belonged there. The little monster shouldn't be here among all these innocent children. What if the demon escapes and kills someone? He should just die already. Danzo needs to hurry up and get the little bastard, she thought. Her hands itched to strangle him, but she was afraid of what Hatake would do. She wasn't so sure that the Hokage could even protect her from the teenage Nin. He was just too deadly. She was just about to take the blanket away from the boy, just for spite, when one of the helpers came in to tell her that a shinobi was at the door. Huffing in frustration, she went to see who was calling. Guy stood waiting just inside the door. When the matron came, he announced to her loudly, Good afternoon, my fine woman. I am the youthful Might Guy. I am here to watch over Naruto Uzumaki. No need to worry about having to bother with him, for I and my fellow youthful shinobi will be taking over the duties until a final decision has been made. He gave his most perfect and obnoxious, nice guy pose with the thumbs up and would not take no for an answer. After arguing for half an hour, she gave in and led him to the locked room. Guy looked around the dreary room, then sat down on the edge of the bed and waited for the boy to wake. The little chibi slowly blinked his eyes open and looked around in confusion. That green man was there, and he was smiling at him. He nervously edged away from him. He could hear the happy sounds of children playing in the background and knew where he was, the bad place. He felt so lonely and scared. Tears welled in his eyes and soon he began to cry. Guy moved closer to him and said gently, "Do not worry, young Naruto. Your daddy sent me here to watch over you. I promise nothing bad will happen to you." He carefully sat next to him and showed him a little bag. "This is for you. Your daddy asked me to give it to you." He put the bag down between and waited for the chibi's curiosity to get the better of him. He scooted over and looked into the bag. His tears stopped as his eyes lit up, and with a trembling hand, he withdrew his teddy bear. He rubbed his face with the soft fur and inhaled deeply. He had it in the bed last night, and it still smelled of his daddy. He smiled wide, hugged it, and kissed it softly on the nose. "My dada?" he questioned Guy. Guy rubbed his head. "He will be here as soon as he can. Me and your daddy's friends will stay with you, okay?" He pouted and turned his body away, but a second later, afraid of the man leaving him there alone, said K. His daddy liked the man, so maybe he was okay. "ID?" Guy stayed with the boy for 6 hours. Kurenai arrived that evening to replace him. The young Jonin stayed with Naruto together until he wasn't scared of her. Every 6 hours another Jonin came to relieve the other, never leaving the boy alone and never leaving him to the mercies of the lady in charge or any of her workers. They played with him, fed him, and took care of all his needs. Slowly, he learned to trust the shinobi and like them. They protected Kakashi's most precious treasure because they loved him and the boy as well. They all wished they had a better answer each time the chibi asked for his father. Hate hinged into him to try to make him feel better, but it didn't fool the boy. Naruto's nose was too sensitive. Kakashi was not having an easy time of it. He had never before put complete faith in others to do something for him. He was set and ready to confront Danzo, but the men put a stop to it immediately. Genma and Hate held onto his arms while Asuma tried to talk some sense into him. "You cannot become involved in this, Kakashi. You might forever lose your chance to get him back. Do you really want to risk that? Trust in us and our abilities. We will not fail you." He knew they were right, but it was a bitter pill to swallow. He looked at his son's bed one last time before falling asleep. The nightmares started soon after. It was more intense, more real than ever before. The smell of acrid smoke and burning flesh filled his nose. The battlefield, littered with the corpses of friends and enemies, called to him. He stepped out into it with the half-crushed body of Obito beside him. He turned to Kakashi and spoke, "Still dancing with your demons?" Blood pooled in the empty eye socket and slowly dripped down to his smiling mouth. "You are a victim of your own creation, you know. You chose to relive this over and over." His bloody grin spread across his face in a comical yet gruesome way. "Ooh, now this looks like fun changing things up, are we?" he said, pointing down. Knowing what he would see, he looked anyways, helpless to do any less. This time it was not Rin standing down there amongst the enemy Nin, caught in the ambush. This time it was the small body of Naruto. He was scared and crying as the enemy drew closer. Standing next to him was a younger Kakashi, wild with battle lust. "No," he shouted to his younger self, but it was too late. He watched powerless as his 13-year-old self attacked one of the Nin who twisted out of the way the last second. Too late. To stop his momentum, he shoved the Chidori through the little boy's chest. The body seemed to fall in slow motion to the ground, dead before it landed. Kakashi watched it all happen, still unable to turn away. "Why do you show me this, Obito? You were never a cruel person." He held the small body in his arms and stroked the blonde hairs. His grief was beyond tears, beyond words. He didn't look away from that precious face as Obito spoke again. His harsh voice echoed, "You should have known the price of your evil deeds, Kakashi. You will be a slave here until the end of time. You belong here." He mockingly laughed. "Your fate is looking clear, is it not, Hataki? You dare to love again? I guess you are not the genius you thought you were." Waking with a jerk, his body drenched in sweat, he groaned and sat up. His heart was pounding painfully in his chest and his head hurt. He went to the shower and stood in the steaming water for a long time, letting it pound on his back. When he finally got out, he saw the clothes that Naruto was wearing when he first found him lying next to the basket. In anger, he picked them up and took them into the living room. He started a fire and burned them in satisfaction. Kakashi received reports constantly from his friends, but he missed the boy. Every time he went into his bedroom and saw the small bed, he remembered his pup. Food didn't taste good, and the sun just didn't seem to shine as brightly. He and the others worked tirelessly on a solution to his problem. The days crawled by. The nights were even longer. The matron resentfully allowed their entrance, and tried to spy on them. None of them would allow it. They were highly trained shinobi, and she was just a civilian. They instead spied on her. They found she was stealing away throughout the day to meet with Danzo. The man was good. They were never able to get close enough to get any useful information. Hade broke into her office and was able to find evidence of theft. She was even stupid enough to keep records of abuse others had done to Naruto. The council would no longer be able to support the woman and would have to give in to Sarutobi. Although it hurt his heart, it was more than they could have ever hoped to find. On October 10th, the whole orphanage felt tense, as if holding its breath. The women evacuated the children early on, but refused to take Naruto with them. The whole village was in mourning for their lost brothers and sisters from the attack 3 years ago. Bars seemed to overflow with the people who wanted to drown their sorrows in alcohol. Ginma was entertaining Naruto at the moment when the mood all changed from anxious to terrified. Although there were Umbu stationed along the perimeter, there were not enough of them. A small side door left unlocked let in the drunken rabble. They ran through the hallways, destroying everything they met. The refrigerator lay on the floor and tables were overturned. They even threw a couch out the window. Then they started a fire in one of the classrooms, which quickly spread down the hallways towards the children's bedrooms. The intoxicated villagers were screaming for the blood of the monster that killed their families, the monster that lived inside the newly turned 3-year-old Naruto Uzumaki. While the Umbu was trying to control the horde, Genma scooped up the boy in his arms and raced out of the building. He wasn't worried at all. It wasn't even him. He had made a clone much earlier in the day. This what they had hoped would happen. This would give the council the irrefutable proof they needed of the unsuitability of the orphanage as a place for Naruto to live. Kurenai and several Umbu who were loyal to the Hokage had been concealing themselves within to get more proof of the woman's treachery. Now they had it. When Danzo wouldn't take the boy immediately, she told the villagers how to get in and told them exactly where he was. They were not able to get anything watertight on Danzo, unfortunately, but now they were on to his mechanisms. They would be watching him closely from now on. The real Genma and Naruto were safely across the village waiting in a safe prearranged location playing a little game of tag, when he stopped and scooped him up. He took the saban out of his mouth and blew a raspberry on his belly. "Do you want Uncle Genma to take you to see your daddy, little guy?" he joyfully asked the giggling boy when he saw Guy approach from a distance. The chibi bounced in his arms and clapped his hands. "Yup, want my daddy. Is he comin'? Is he comin' now?" Genma nodded to the chibi's delight. Guy moved closer and asked, "Were you followed? Did everything go as planned? Did we get all the proof?" He stared at the boy like a starving man. His arms twitched several times as if he was preventing himself from grabbing the small boy. "I am very happy to say that hellhole is on its way to becoming nothing but ashes. The Hokage already has another building set aside as housing for all of the orphans and someone new to take charge. No one has been hurt, well, except for a few villagers who tried to take on your old Umbu squad. They really are efficient," he said with a smile, Kakashi Hatake. The copy-nin removed his hinge, grinned at Genma beneath his mask, and with a soaring heart, pulled the little boy into his arms. "Happy birthday. Did you miss me, son?" he asked as he kissed and hugged him. Naruto looked in surprise at the masked shinobi. He was no longer the nice green man. He had the silver hair, the one dark eye and the smell that could only belong to one special person, Daddy. He squealed in exhilaration. He grabbed him hard and buried his face in his neck. "You stay with me now?" Kakashi didn't care who was watching. He wrapped his arms tightly around the boy and let the tears flow. "Yep, pup, I'm staying with you. I could never make it through this world without you. I just wouldn't have a clue how to. We are going to the tower right now and make the Hokage sign those papers right now." He turned around to see Guy, Asuma, Kurenai, Hate, and Genma standing there. They all had huge smiles on their faces. They shouted and cheered. For once, the loud noises did not scare Naruto. Asuma smirked and said, "No, what you meant to say is that we are all going to the tower, and we are all going to make my old man sign those papers." The 4 other Jonin nodded their heads in agreement and took off together. "Party at Kakashi's place," yelled Hate. "A birthday party for the little chibi," shouted Kurenai. The Hokage was waiting for them when they arrived at his office window. He let them in and presented Kakashi with the adoption papers. "Excellent work," he said proudly to them all. "I knew you all would be able to pull it off." Kurenai blushed at the compliment. "I have been trying for so long to find the boy a better place. None of the homes he went to worked out. I had no idea that woman would send him to such places. Each one was worse than the next. The boy was feared and hated too much." Asuma asked, "Why didn't you let Kakashi have him in the first place? You are the Hokage after all." Hiruzen sighed at his son. He never did understand. "You know that I answer to the council somewhat. If I did not, then I would be a despot. Usually they do everything for the good of the village. Danzo has a lot of influence over the ninja and civilian council members. I was forced to do it. I regret now that I did not just sign the paperwork without telling them about it, but I had no idea they would object. He is gaining a lot of power over them. Kakashi, I know you have retired from the Black Ops, but I need your help. I have no right to ask this, but we are very short on shinobi in the village. We really need to find out what that man is up to and stop him. I would like you to consider becoming a regular jonin. I would not send you on any long-term missions. I also know of a new genin that will be able to help you with Naruto. He is at your place right now. Do not make any decisions this minute. Take some time off to think about it and spend it with your new son. Go home, all of you. Naruto perked up. He placed his hands on each side of Kakashi's face, turned it to face his, and then demanded, "Home now, yup, daddy." "Yeah, home, little man," he agreed softly and with feeling. They left the tower and raced across the rooftops towards Kakashi's apartment, which was ablaze with light. Upon entering, they found the genin had decorated the place for Naruto's birthday on the Hokage's orders. Also waiting there was a very angry Tsum. "Kakashi Hatake," she yelled, "you should have asked for my help. I told you that we were friends. If one of my brats were in trouble, you would have helped him, right?" "Why yes, of course," he stammered in embarrassment. He felt like a young school kid being lectured in front of the class. The feeling was only made worse when Asuma snickered and Kurenai whispered in his ear. "No doubt about it, that woman is downright scary," he thought. "Don't ever forget it again, boy," she snarled, then yelled to everyone, "Oh, let's get this birthday started already. Hana, Kiba, get in here." The kids came in from the bedroom where Kiba had been napping and Hana reading. As soon as he and Naruto spotted each other, they jumped in excitement. "Happy birthday, Naruto! Guess what? I got you a ninja action figure with a ninja hound. We can play together." As the Kopinin watched his son and fellow shinobi devour insane amounts of sugar in the form of birthday cake, he could not help but think, my world is finally complete. Several weeks later, Kakashi still had not given the Hokage an answer. A big part of him wanted to resume his work as a shinobi of the village, but the other part of him did not want to leave the boy. He was just too fragile yet. He still had not completely recovered. He was happy the night he came home, but he still often flinched whenever Kakashi would approach him too fast. He could tell that Naruto wanted affection, but he was afraid of it at the same time. It was stupid of me to believe that just by bringing him home, he would be magically cured, he thought. He finally had some support with the genin, Irika Yumino. Oddly enough, his friends were always bugging him about his little pup. They were asking to take him with them. Genma insisted that the boy call him uncle, as did Guy and Hate. One night he was pondering their attitudes, and the only thing he could come up with was that they were all lonely, and the little chibi seemed to fill the emptiness. He understood that feeling. Ever since the boy came into his life, the darkness within his soul seemed to lessen. The boy was sunshine, plain and simple. The wonder in his eyes at each new discovery in life filled Kakashi with light. It definitely wasn't always easy, but it was worth it. Although there had been no further threats from Danzo, he was not forgotten. Umbu were tailing him night and day. They felt that they might be close to discovering all his schemes. He had a meeting with the Hokage scheduled today. Maybe the investigation was over, he hoped. He would accept a jonin position if that meant he would get the pleasure of killing Danzo. Naruto was currently at the park with Irika watching him. That little genin was a lifesaver for Kakashi. His little chibi would often go to great lengths to remain in control and avoid feeling helpless. He was disobedient, defiant, and argumentative almost as often as he was sweet, caring and adorable. Just this morning, Kakashi had been trying to get the boy to take a bath, which led to a huge meltdown. They had both just woken up and eaten breakfast, when Kakashi told Naruto, "Put your plate in the sink, then you are having a bath." "No, don't want a bath. I want to play with my ninja," he said stubbornly. "No, pup," he patiently explained, "you need to take a bath first. You didn't take one yesterday and you are starting to smell a little ripe." His little fist clenched and his mouth tightened. "No, don't want a bath," he screamed and pushed his plate onto the floor. The resulting crash must have triggered a bad memory, because a second later, he was sitting on the ground with his hands around his knees, staring into space, and mumbling, I sorry. Don hurt." Kakashi sat on the floor next to him and spoke softly. "Take in big breath, nice and slow, son. No one is hurting you. You are safe here. You are just remembering things that happened before. It is okay, it happens to daddy sometimes too. Look around, son, do you see me?" He pulled the teddy bear from off the chair and set it in the boy's arms. "Feel your teddy, Mr. Kuma-chan. You didn't have it back then, son, remember? You see, you are not in that bad place anymore. You are home with daddy." Naruto lifted his hand and hesitantly stroked the soft fur. Kakashi's gentle voice began to seep in, dragging him back to the real world. His body relaxed as he blinked and looked up at the Nin with a frown. Kakashi could see the questions and anger in his eyes. He wiped the boy's face with his hand and put his arm around his shoulder. You can ask me anything and I'll try to answer, son. Why, Daddy? Why they hurt me? Why they hate me? How can anyone answer that question? Why are some people cruel? He thought. I don't know. Sometimes people do mean things for no reason. Sometimes they are hurt or scared and just want others to feel the same pain. You have never done anything wrong. You are a good boy and you deserve love. I will not let anyone hurt you again. You are safe with me. He looked around at the broken pieces of the plate on the floor. You not mad? I was bad and boke de pate. You hate me, Daddy? His eyes filled with tears at the thought, and his hands wrung the bear nervously. Kakashi set the boy in his lap and stroked his hair. No way, pup. It is okay to get angry. Breaking the plate was a naughty thing to do, yes, but that does not mean that you are a bad boy. I still love you, no matter how many plates you break. However, that does not mean I want you to destroy our things. You need boundaries. What that? Boundaries are rules that parents make for their children to keep them safe. It is a way of saying I love you and care about your welfare and of teaching consequences to your actions. It will help you become a good man. Huh? It means you will get a timeout if you misbehave, he said dryly. He was relieved when Iruka showed up. Naruto really seemed to like the boy and wasn't afraid of him. They both could sense the genin's inherent kindness and compassion. When Kakashi let him in, he told him about the bath and the incident after. Iruka then walked into the apartment with a big smile for the chibi. Hey little brother, do you want to go to the park today? Maybe we can find some of your friends to play with. Brover, you here? Naruto's face lit up as he jumped up and ran to the older boy with a huge smile. He had started calling the boy brother from the moment he met him. We go now to park? He wrapped his arms around the boy's waist and hugged him. Iruka shyly hugged him back then said, You will need a bath today. Do you want to take it now or when we get back? If you decide to do it later, you can't change your mind and refuse, okay? After, please, Ruka. Don want take one now. After is fine, he said, but look at what I brought for you. He reached into his bag and pulled out a big bottle of bubble bath. He ruffled the chibi's blonde head and handed him the bottle. Put it in the bathroom and we'll go. Iruka took the boy to the park to play with Kiba, allowing Kakashi to unwind for a while. Before they left, he summoned Guruko and Shiba to go with them. There was no way he would leave this pup with just a genin to guard him. Naruto was very sensitive to his feelings, so he needed to recharge before the boy came home. He was currently cleaning the apartment when he caught a whiff of some unpleasant aroma. He found it under the boy's bed. Naruto was hoarding food again. With a small sigh, he cleaned up the food. Hopefully, the chibi would soon realize that Kakashi would not starve him. Once he finished cleaning, he left the apartment. He had to meet with some of his old comrades in Umbu. They had important things to discuss, specifically a traitor named Danzo. Naruto searched the park until he found Kiba. He ran over to him and yelling, Kiba, Kiba, there you are. Play with me, Kiba. They played happily for quite some time, and then began to roughhouse with each other. Eventually Naruto got hurt, which caused him to get mad and yell crossly, You mean, Kiba? I hate you. Iruka came over and soothed the upset boy while Naruto watched on angrily. Once the boy was calm, Iruka turned to Naruto, took him by the hand and led him to a tree. He pulled out a kunai and stabbed a chunk of bark from the tree. You see this hole? He asked. The tree will never be the same. When you are angry and say mean things, it makes a scar like this tree. You can say you are sorry, but the scar remains, Naruto. Friends are very precious. They make you smile and be happy. They help you to be successful. They open their hearts to you. Iruka drew him into his arms and hugged him. I know you were hurt, but knowing what it feels like to be hurt is exactly why we try to be kind to others. Ninjas in Konoha must have a will of fire, Naruto, the strong will to protect Konoha. Because of that will, everyone in the village is family. We protect our family, not hurt them. That's what the Hokage taught me. That mean Kiba my brover too? I want Kiba to be my brover like you. Naruto ran off to apologize to the quick-tempered Inuzuka. They began to play in the sandbox when Iruka heard his name called. He turned around to see his teammates, Mizuki and Ayumu, approaching him. With a good-natured wave, Mizuki said, Hey, there you are. Where have you been? We have been doing all kinds of D-rank missions without you and you haven't been to any of our training sessions. The Hokage asked me to take a solo mission for a while. I've been babysitting him, he said, pointing at Naruto. His father has been doing some important work lately. As for training, well, sorry about that, it couldn't be helped right now. While Ayumu caught Iruka's attention, Mizuki glared at the little boy. That's a laugh, he is an orphan, Irika. He doesn't have any family just like you. Mizuki's little jab hurt Irika, but he didn't let it show. He started to turn around to check on Naruto, when Ayuma practically shouted, "Who's his father, Yumino?" Distracted, Irika turned back to face her and said, he was adopted by Kakashi Hatake a couple of weeks ago. Ayuma's face turned a little white and Mizuki had an odd glint in his eye. They both said, the famous Kopinin, Kakashi of the Sharingan? They are really acting odd, thought Irika. They peppered him with questions every time he tried to turn around. Just as he began to get suspicious, he heard Kiba cry. He twisted his body to see the boy lying on the ground and Naruto launch himself at a larger boy. It was Ayuma's little brother. Naruto had somehow knocked the boy to the ground and was sitting on his chest punching, scratching and screaming with all his might. Kakashi's Niken began to bark furiously. Irika pointed at them, "You get some and you get Kakashi. I'll handle this." The genin then ran over and pulled Naruto off the boy. He tried to lunge at the little boy, but Irika pushed him away. "What's going on here?" he yelled. "Why are you fighting with a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old?" He started it. He sullenly pointed at Naruto. The little punk thought he was tough and could take me on. Ayuma came over, put her arms around her brother, and glared at Irika. "That's not true," yelled Kiba, getting up angrily from the ground. "That boy came over and tripped Naruto on purpose, then he laughed and said he deserved it. That boy called Naruto a little demon and said he shouldn't come where he wasn't wanted and leave the park and never come back. Then he pushed me down when I told him to leave us alone. He was gonna hit me, then Naruto said he would protect me and then he pushed that boy down. He pointed and snarled at the older boy, 'You were mean to us.'" Mizuki smirked, then snidely commented, "Well, what do you expect from that kid? He is just a little loser. You know what he is." Irika's head whipped up to look at his friend. "Mizuki, don't be that way. We are not supposed to talk about that. He is just a little boy. It is our duty as shinobi to look after the weak and defenseless." Ayuma shouted back, "Irika, who are you gonna believe? My brother wouldn't lie. I'm gonna tell my father what that brat did." A new voice joined in, "Yes, please do. I would like to meet the man who teaches his children to pick on toddlers. You all run along and fetch him. I will be here waiting." Irika looked in relief at the jonin. The 2 other genin turned white and hurried away, mumbling under their breath. Naruto's face lit up. "Daddy." Kakashi held out his arms and picked up the boy. "Daddy, I was bad today. I hit that boy and then I hit him again. Ruka said we posed to be family with everyone in a village." "You weren't bad, little brother," said Irika looking up at him. "You were protecting your friend. That is the will of fire." Naruto's face scrunched up and got anxious. "You not mad at me, daddy? The people at my old home says I not posed to touch no one." Kakashi ruffled his hair and said, "You do not live there anymore, pup. You live with me now. Your name is Naruto Uzumaki Hatake, the son of Kakashi Hatake. You live by my rules now, and my rules state that anyone who abandons their friend is trash. I am proud of you for being brave and standing up for Kiba. It is not good to hurt the people in our village, but it is worse to allow someone to harm your friends." Irika and Kakashi let the boys play for a while longer until Tsum showed up. The 2 nin walked the boy home. Irika could not help but notice the mean glares they kept getting from the villagers. He glanced down at the boy and felt bad. He was walking with his shoulders hunched and his head down. The boy was too young to have to experience this. "Hey little brother, want to learn a great ninja song?" "Ninja song? Wow, yup. It goes like this: we are fighting dreamers, heading for the top. Fighting dreamers, fighting without a care in our appearance. Fighting dreamers, fighting for what we believe in. Ollie, 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 oh, just go my way." You learn that song and sing it loudly, little brother. Someday, if you want to, you will be a shinobi for the land of fire. Hold your head up with pride and ignore everyone. Someday they will see you for what an awesome guy you are. By the time they had arrived at the apartment, Naruto felt better. Kakashi didn't. The boy sang the song very loud and all the way home. His ears were ringing. He gave a disgruntled look to the genin, who blushed and sheepishly scratched the back of his neck nervously. "Sorry," he mouthed. Kakashi left soon afterwards to meet with the Hokage, then went to a very secret meeting with several Umbu members. They were finally drawing up plans for the Danzo problem. He had accepted the position as a jonin for the Leaf so he could be involved in the mission. Even though he was no longer Umbu, he was placed in charge. Danzo was so going down. The biggest problem was how. The man was powerful, so they couldn't just make him easily disappear. The 4 Umbu, Cat, Bear, Crane, and Weasel, that sat at the table were very familiar to Kakashi. He had worked with most at some point, or another. He had been a mentor to Cat not long ago. He trusted the man with his life. Weasel was new and very young, but talented. He had a grudge to settle with Danzo too. Apparently, the old man had been threatening the Uchiha clan. Cat leaned forward. The Hokage can send Danzo out on a diplomatic mission somewhere, and he could be ambushed by some Rouge-nin. No, said Kakashi quickly. There would be too many variables in that scenario. We would not know how many root members he could possibly have accompany him or following him. We will only have one shot at this. If it fails, he would be onto us, then it would become too difficult to get close. Crane said, what about poison? Kakashi shook his head. It would be difficult to infiltrate his household to get the poison in, and then somehow ensure he takes it, and no one else. The man is a very adept shinobi. He would most likely detect the poison even if we did manage to get in his house. Again, Danzo would be alerted to us. Kakashi reminded them, remember, he has to lose the support of the people for this mission to be a success. Weasel spoke quietly. The question we need to ask ourselves is how you get people who are loyal to you to despise you. There are many who support his militant ideals within the council. Bear's deep voice rumbled, prove Danzo to be a traitor. Publicly oust him. Kakashi shook his head. That would work for a lot of people in the village, but he might be able to defend himself to everyone. He is a very sly man, like I said. Bear looked at each of them, piercing them with his gaze. Insanity, he said simply. If everyone thinks he was a nut job, he would lose support real quick. Crane perked up. Can you do that? Some of my earlier techniques were known to break a man permanently. That's why I don't use them anymore. It makes it somewhat difficult to interrogate someone who has lost his or her mind. You do not get any answers that way. He looked over at Weasel. I've heard that you have a strong affinity for genjutsu. With my techniques added to yours, we could drive him insane fairly quickly. As Crane edged away from Bear discreetly, Kakashi looked at him with open admiration. I would not be surprised if they make you head of the torture and interrogation squad real soon, my friend. Crane laughed. Yeah, because you suck as a regular Umbu? I mean really, you are almost 6.5 feet tall. No one in this village is close to your height. Kinda hard to be anonymous. Shut it, Crane, Bear said while smacking the nin on the back of her head. So what we need is a nice public arrest. I will use your genjutsu skills after I have worn him down, Weasel. While Danzo awaits trial, he will be placed deep within the confines of the Umbu headquarters and under my care. We will have him gibbering like a baboon inside of a week. He gave a dark chuckle, then slapped his hands together and rubbed them. This is gonna be fun. Kakashi looked at him gravely. Do not make the mistake of underestimating him. He is ruthless and holds a lot of power. We do not even know the full extent of Root and how far it reaches. I am waiting on one more report from the Hokage, then we will begin this mission. Weasel nodded. He is all that, but he still needs to die before something worse happens. Things are getting dire within my clan due to his interference. Kakashi dismissed everyone save for Weasel. Once everyone departed, he leaned towards the young Umbu. What is going on? Weasel removed his mask and spoke. I believe that my clan is planning a coup d'état with Danzo. He has approached me on several occasions, and has even threatened the life of my little brother. He has of yet to speak directly about anything, but I am quite adept at reading between the lines. This is very serious, Itachi. Have you spoken with the Hokage about all of this? Yes, we have spoken. The Hokage is trying to work with my clan, but I believe that it may soon be too late. You do realize what will happen if it comes to pass? Kakashi's face grew somber. It will tear the village apart, and then lead to war. Exactly, said Itachi. We need to move as soon as possible. Kakashi got up to leave at Itachi's nod. Come by my place, we can discuss this further after we get rid of Danzo. I should be getting the last bit of information tonight, and then we make our move. As Kakashi walked home, he stepped lightly. His mood could not get any better. He loved being a shinobi for Konohagakure. Maybe he would consider the Hokage's offer to become a sensei. That way he could be with his son and still work as a nin. As long as he didn't get any idiots for Genin, too bad Irika already had a sensei, he thought. Konohagakure. The weak early morning light barely touched the village of Konohagakure, its civilian residents coming slowly awake. The shinobi in it already up and about in the cool crisp air, training or preparing for missions. One such shinobi was doing just that. It was only a D rank, but what a great time it was for him. While most, if not all, of his fellow genin would hate to have such a mission, he was thankful. What they didn't know was that the greatest shinobi in the village would be giving him some private training to make up for it. He even said that a few of his friends would probably join them. Imagine that, thought Irika, to be given training by Kakashi, guy, and who knows who else. I am the luckiest guy ever. He continued his walk with anticipation. He thought of the little chibi, Naruto, and smiled to himself. He had been teaching the boy kanji and giving him lessons in various school subjects. The boy absorbed it all like a sponge, most likely because it was the first time anyone had ever paid attention to him before Kakashi adopted him. I should become a teacher, he jokingly thought to himself. He stopped walking and pondered that sudden thought. I should become a teacher. I could teach children how to love and respect this great nation of ours and pass on the will of fire. He started walking again, his mind filled with new possibilities. Kakashi's apartment. Naruto woke up very excited. His daddy told him that Iruka was coming to spend the day with him and was going to take him to see Kiba. The sun hadn't even begun to rise yet when he jumped on top of the Chunin, shouting at the top of his little leather lungs, "Uppy, uppy sweepy head." Kakashi, used to this type of wake-up call by now, pulled the covers over his head and rolled over. Wait for the sun to raise at least, pup. Naruto, not to be discouraged, went to the foot of the bed and crept under the covers. He wriggled up to Kakashi and dug his little fingers into his daddy's side. Tickle tickle, daddy. Gup. I can't, said Kakashi, trying not to laugh, I'm sleeping. Naruto clambered out of the covers and peeled the Chunin's eye open. You awake now, daddy? He asked in a whisper. Kakashi snuck his hands around the boy's waist and hefted him up in the air above him, then lowered him and blew a big wet raspberry on his belly. The squealing chibi and the laughing Nin played in the bed until the boy's stomach grumbled loudly. Kakashi grabbed the giggling Naruto by the ankles and carried him into the kitchen upside down. Flipping Naruto over, he set the boy in the chair. As Kakashi began to make breakfast, he began to whistle in a jaunty way. Why you happy, daddy? Asked Naruto. The Nin answered, because today, daddy is going to put a bad guy away. His usual cool attitude was replaced with glee this morning. All information was finally gathered and everything was in place. In an hour he would be stationed outside the Hokage's tower to witness the downfall of Danzo. He couldn't wait. The man was so going down. Kurenai and Iruka will be staying with you a lot for the next week or so during the day while I am busy. Be good for them, pup, and no temper tantrums. Before I go, I need you to sing a little song for daddy that Yamano taught you. I gotta leave the house with Kurenai? He asked, very concerned. Kakashi sighed. No, she will stay here with you, but if for some reason she needs to leave, I want you to not make too much of a fuss. Remember, son, she is a very powerful kunoichi and can protect you very well. Iruka was the only one who could get the boy out of the apartment without getting him stressed out. He started to whine, but at Kakashi's stern look stopped. "K daddy, you give me bull?" He grinned after Kakashi summoned his Niken for him. He burrowed his face in the massive dog's neck and asked, "You like my singing, daddy?" He lied, "Sure, pup, and I know someone who is really going to love it." Danzo's house. When Danzo awoke that morning, he was not a happy man. It was the end of the month, which meant that there should have been a certain report waiting on him to peruse, a report of all the orphans under the care of the head matron from the orphanage. Damn woman, he thought, if only she would have been patient a little longer and not been so greedy, then I could have gotten hold of the Uzumaki brat. After dressing and eating breakfast, he had one of the route operatives bring him another report from his training program. He waved over one of his route operatives. This one, he said, pointing to the report. He has artistic talent and good chakra control already. I think we should increase his training. We could use one that will be good with seals. He is around 4 years old now. He handed the picture to the Nin. His name is Sai. He looked through the other reports and, not seeing anything of particular import, threw them away. He kept thinking of the now ex-head matron. She knows too much, and now she is a liability. I can't risk it. He called in another of his operatives. She is a threat. You know of whom I speak. I want her dealt with immediately. The Nin nodded and disappeared in a gust of air. Danzo smiled. Today was going to be a good day. He had a meeting at the tower, then another with the Uchiha clan council. Konohagakure. As he left his house, he had a nagging feeling that something was about to happen. As a shinobi, he did not ignore that feeling. He looked carefully around in distrust as he got closer to the tower. There seemed to be more hidden umbu around than normal. He turned the corner to see that Hataki whelp leaning against the building with an air of apathy. Danzo greeted Kakashi impudently. Ah, Kakashi-kun, how is fatherhood treating you? He thought that the Hataki boy was weak now. He saw the way he pleaded for the boy to the Hokage. Emotion like that makes a Nin pathetic and ineffectual. A shame, really. He was once a powerful asset to the village. Now he is faint-hearted, he thought. The insult was not lost on Kakashi. He gave the old man one of his eye smiles. Oh, quite well actually. Naruto is going to become an excellent shinobi someday. He has a quick mind now that he is in a caring home. It's a good thing too, or he could have turned into a devastating weapon, right? Danzo refused to give him any reaction and turned to go around the copying, but halted when he heard a very familiar voice behind an Umbu weasel mask announce, "Danzo Shimura, you are wanted for questioning for treason against Konohagakure. The charges are as follows: the disappearance of 26 children from Konohagakure, Iwagakure, Kirigakure, and Sunagakure, incitement of insurgency against Konohagakure, bribery, extortion, and murder." The masked Umbu continued while Danzo was surrounded. "You will come with us into Umbu custody. Any attempts at escape will be considered as an admission of guilt, and you will immediately be dealt with extreme prejudice. Anyone attempting to aid you will be considered an accomplice, and will be dealt with in the same manner." Kakashi watched smugly as Itachi read the list of crimes to Danzo. He openly smirked at the man after Ibiki placed chakra inhibitors on his wrists, then led him away. Quite a crowd gathered to witness his downfall. Several members of the council that were milling about moved to protest, but the Umbu escort intercepted them. The Umbu in a bear mask reminded them, anyone, and I mean anyone, attempting to aid Shimura will be considered an accomplice in his crimes. Everybody backed up quickly. Umbu headquarters. A little while later, Danzo was sitting in a secure cell within the bowels of the Umbu headquarters. He got up, paced back and forth calmly, all the while thinking of revenge against those Konoha dogs. He thought, they dare provoke me? They clearly do not know who they are antagonizing. They will pay. He knew it was only a matter of time before some of his root operatives would come. He had several planted within the Umbu Black Ops for several months now. Unfortunately for him, what he did not know was that the Hokage and Umbu captains already knew that there were spies among them. They also knew the seal on their tongues of all root members. Too bad for Danzo. All Black Ops members had to report for physicals today before they were allowed to be on active duty. They had discovered 3 root members thus far. When the door to Danzo's cell opened, he smiled haughtily at Bear. Well, what have we here? So, you think you are man enough to play with me?" The Umbu said nothing, just nodded his head and held out his hand for Danzo to follow him. "Let's do it then." They led him away to the interrogation room. As they entered the room, Danzo said, "Do you honestly believe that I am guilty of some nefarious deeds? If I was, do you actually think I would tell you anything?" Ibiki removed his mask to expose his scarred countenance. He smiled and chuckled maliciously. "I have to say, I hope not. It is not that much fun when people give up too easily." His voice turned harsh. "There is nothing worse than a traitor to our village. Your corruption knows no bounds, does it?" Danzo sat in a chair at a large table and tranquilly replied, "I am not a traitor, I am a patriot. I only want Konohagakure to be the most powerful of all hidden villages." Ibiki sat down across from the old man and studied him as though he would a new and particularly repulsive bug he had just discovered. With a look of barely contained disgust he said, "You wish to accomplish this by murdering children? You are no patriot. You are perfidious and a vile excuse for a human being. The time for your little speeches is over. I want to know the exact number of root operatives you have." "I do not know what you are talking about." Ibiki smiled, "And so it begins." He flashed through a series of hand seals and summoned a torture chamber. It enclosed around them, then chains wrapped tight onto Danzo's arms and legs. "Are you ready to tell me everything?" he asked. "Pa, you cannot do anything to me. The council will have your head if there is as much as a scratch on me. Even if you have a medic heal me, there would still be traces left," he sneered. "I will tell you nothing." Ibiki said not a word as he took off his armor and shirt. Danzo saw the long faded bruises that dotted his arms when his bare chest was revealed. "This is from a talk I had with a very stubborn man last week. Sadly, he is no longer with us." He gave a pained look for a second, then smirked. "It does not mark you, old man, it marks me. Now who do you think can withstand more pain, you or me?" An hour later, Danzo thought his arms and legs had been ripped out of their sockets. He had to bite his lips to prevent himself from screaming for mercy. Somehow, he was able to raise his head to shoot Ibiki a glare. When he saw the smug man's blissful smiling face, he quelled. The sadistic bastard was enjoying the pain. True fear caressed his heart for the first time that day. He could no longer hold it in, he screamed. Ibiki laughed in pleasure at the delicious sound. He released the jutsu, but asked Danzo no questions this time. Across the room, the door opened and Itachi walked in. His eyes were red with the 3 black tomo. Danzo was instantly caught in the genjutsu because he was too weak mentally and physically from the previous torture. He found himself strapped to a cross with the Uchiha standing across from him. He told himself repeatedly that it was not real, but still the genjutsu would not abate. The katana pulled from Itachi's scabbard made a very real metallic ring. "It's not real," he told himself. The katana thrust into his stomach. "It's not real, with an incomprehensible stab of pain, then slowly pulled out, "It's not real." It felt so real. His blood splattered, "It's not real," to the ground in a crimson pattern as the wound, "It's not real," opened wide and his intestines fell out. "It's not real!" he roared out, breaking the genjutsu. The phantom pains in his stomach made walking very difficult for Danzo as he was led back to his cell. As Itachi locked and sealed the door, he turned to Kakashi, who had been waiting. The copy Nin set something on a small table, opened a grate on the door, and switched the device on. Naruto's voice came out of it, off-key and very, very loud. "We are Phi Dreamers, headin' for the top, Phi Dreamers, Phi widow a care for our parents, Phi Dreamers, Phi for what we believe in, dust go my way, right here right now." Bang! Knowing that they would be back in a few hours, Danzo lay on his cot to attempt meditation, but it did not work. That song was too irritating. Later that evening, after another long torture session, an Umbu brought Danzo back to his cell and gave him a tray of food, which he refused to eat. He could not detect any poison, but decided not to risk it. He had plenty of allies, but he had to wait until they were able to release him. He felt confident, even after Itachi walked in. He casually leaned against the opposite wall. "Are you going to eat that?" Itachi asked and pointed to the tray of food. Danzo said coldly, "Do you think I am foolish? It would be unwise of me to eat or drink anything you would give me." Itachi just shrugged his shoulders, then picked up Danzo's plate and began to pick food off it with his fingers and slowly eat it. Even though the food smelled appetizing, he would not waver. "What a ridiculous ploy. I am not a small child. You will not weaken me. You know you do not have enough time before I am released. You cannot use your genjutsu effectively on me for I am too strong. You tried, it failed." Danzo then moved over to his cot and laid on it. He put his hands behind his head and closed his eyes, dismissing the Uchiha brat as though he were no longer in the room. Itachi just shrugged his shoulders again and walked out of the door carrying the empty plate. The next morning, Ibiki and Itachi made their way to Danzo's cell. He could hear the tape that Kakashi had made was still replaying, "Ali Ali Ali, oh dust go my way. Right here right now. Burn. Let's go on a butcher spee and get to fire." Ibiki gave an amused chuckle and pointed to the tape player. "Man, Kakashi was right. His kid's singing voice really is irritating," he said as he shut the tape player off and opened the cell. "Rise and shine, sweetheart," he said in a mock cheerful tone. Itachi was pleased to note Danzo's left eye twitching uncontrollably. He obviously had not slept well. They led him back to the interrogation room and repeated yesterday's performance. It took him a lot longer to dispel the genjutsu. This time, instead of leading him back to his cell, they took him to a walled courtyard that had a small stagnant pond in it. He was stripped naked and tied up in the water-spread eagle. They force-fed him milk and honey, which caused diarrhea. The bugs that were attracted to it began to eat at his flesh. He took him a long time to realize that it was another genjutsu. The next 2 days went the same. Danzo had survived 4 days so far without going insane. Ibiki was impressed with the man's fortitude, but disturbed at the same time. Time was running out. They needed a little something more to push him over the edge. He went to go visit Hatake rather than wait for him to show up that night. Kakashi's apartment. Kakashi was working with Naruto on his kanji when someone knocked on the door. "You're doing a good job, keep working while I talk with someone, okay?" "'Kay, daddy?" He ruffled the boy's hair and answered the door to the Umbu. Bear, he nodded his head in greeting and let the Nin in. They went to the table to hear his report. Naruto was on the other side of the couch where neither could see him. "Well, first off," began Bear, "it's not going as well as we had hoped. Danzo has been very resistant to all of our efforts. Since we cannot leave any major physical marks on him, we have been using mostly mental techniques. We need to be able to hurt him without leaving marks. We need him to feel pain. He is definitely beginning to lose it though. Hopefully soon, but I cannot guarantee exactly when." Kakashi nodded gravely. "The council has been putting pressure on the Hokage to release Danzo or show substantial proof of his crimes. We had eyewitness accounts before we took the old man down, but those people have all mysteriously died in the past 2 days. The root members that we have captured will not talk due to the seals on their tongues. No one has been able to figure out how." Naruto had thrown a blanket over his body when the masked man came in and was sneaking forward to listen. Kakashi caught him out of the corner of his eye and stifled a laugh at his horrible idea of a henge. Quietly from his hiding spot, the boy stuck out his hand, moved it like a mouth, and whispered, "Pistati, I gotta tell you something." Kakashi held up his hand for Ibiki to wait and looked towards the hidden boy. He gently tried to reassure him, "You do not have to hide under the blanket, pup. I will never let anyone who would be mean to you enter our home. If it makes you feel safe though, go ahead and stay hidden under there." "I must stay here, daddy." Kakashi was about to turn around and continue his conversation with Ibiki, when Naruto's hand moved up and down again. Daddy, you can put Lil's sings under de fingernails. Lil would sings. Dat hurts real bad. Can't use Yuhan's FO long time. Bear stiffened in outrage. He glared at Kakashi and said, What have you been teaching that kid, Hataki? Kakashi, also shocked, ignored the umbu and went over to the hidden boy. He lifted the blanket and picked him up. Did someone do that to you? Was it at the orphanage, pup? Nah. Was somewheres else. At a house somewheres. Don member. Naruto saw the sad look in the nin's eye and patted his arm. "'Soke daddy? I live with you now, member? You lube me, huh? Can I pay with my ninga now?" He wheedled. "Yep, pup, I love you. You can play with your toys until my meeting is over." He wanted to demand to know who put splinters under his fingernails, but thought better of it. If he was starting to forget, then it was for the best. After Kakashi put Naruto down and watched him scamper off, Bear cleared his throat. "Sorry. When you told us that you had adopted a child from that orphanage, I did not realize it was the Uzumaki boy. I removed him from one of his homes once when he was around 2. It is something I never want to think of again. Those people were so sadistic. They made me look like an angel. I can still hear his screams echoing in my dreams. The splinter in the fingernail thing is a good idea, though. It is extremely painful form of torture and doesn't leave visible marks." Kakashi was still staring at the spot where he set the boy down and seemed lost in thought. Ibiki knew what he was thinking. He's young dog. He will forget. He wanted to believe it, but he himself had been suffering for so long from his own trauma that it seemed impossible. Will he? Can something like that truly ever be forgotten, Ibiki? Bear removed his mask and pointed to his face. "This happened 2 years ago. Some things you can make yourself forget if you really want to. I do not see it in my dreams anymore. It is still there, but then again, I was not a baby when it happened." "He will forget," he said firmly. "Trust me, if there's anything I truly know, it's the human brain. He will forget." That reminds me, another Umbu squad invaded Danzo's secret headquarters and found some children. Most that were not too damaged by his training have been identified and returned to their homes. However, one has not. Have you ever considered adoption? The only reason why I ask, he said quickly at Ibiki's look of horror, is that he shouldn't be at the orphanage. I can sense some emerging ninja skills from him. Go meet him and see. I see a lot of him in you. His name is Sai. Apparently, he has been here for only a few months, but he does not know where he is from." Ibiki walked to the door and said before taking his leave, "I'll think about it." Anbu headquarters. For 6 days, the old shinobi was taken down into the torture rooms. He knew it was not really information they were after. It was his death they wanted, but they could not kill him without causing a civil war. Every evening, he was brought back to his cell. Every night, he had to listen to that loud recording. It began to affect him. When he slept, it was broken and filled with dreams. Someone would turn the song up louder. He despised that boy and that horrible song. His mind grew weaker and Itachi was able to use his genjutsu longer on him. He no longer knew the waking world from the dreaming world. Horrible creatures would burrow under his skin and cause unimaginable pain. Soon he realized that no one was coming for him. He began to lose hope. Everything he did for the sake of the village, he told them repeatedly, but they did not care to listen. On the 5th day, Kakashi was patiently waiting in the interrogation room. When Danzo was dragged in, he spotted the copy-nin right away. "I should have known you would be here, dog. Is this all for revenge then? You are weak, Hataki. Your emotions are getting the better of you." Kakashi's face suddenly turned hard and menacing. "You are mistaken, Shimura. I am far from weak. You have underestimated me. This is not about revenge, it's about getting rid of a traitor." His cold look changed to one of amusement as he pulled something out of his vest and brought it over to a small table. He and the other Umbu members in the room pulled earplugs out of their pockets and stuffed them in their ears. He put the tape in the radio and pressed play. He smirked at Danzo. "I heard you enjoy my little pup singing so much that I brought another tape for the times you spend with Bear and Weasel." 2 seconds later, Naruto's voice came out loud and annoying. Danzo groaned to himself. This was getting more and more difficult. He did not think he could take all that much more. On the 7th morning, Danzo awoke feeling his stomach itch. He sang to himself, "Inside the tough road with endless strife, where are you heading to?" spreading open another's map. A colorful crow came along, stole that map, and tore it up. "Now open up the eye in your heart, and take a good look at the present. There's nothing, so let's go. We are fighting dreamers, heading for the top." Fighting dreamers. He suddenly stopped once he realized he was singing aloud and thought, "Oh my god. I am singing that damn song. I'm going to kill that kid the first chance I get." He scratched his stomach, Something was crawling in his skin. Fighting without a care for our appearance, fighting dreamers, fighting for what we believe in. Just go my way. Right here, right now. Bang! He sang louder. He pulled up his shirt and stared at the large wound on his stomach that would not heal. Something was moving under the skin. He scratched harder. He stood up and walked to the mirror hanging on the wall. For some odd reason, it was there when they brought him back to his cell yesterday. He stared at his reflection and did not know who was staring back. He scratched his stomach. Something was crawling in his skin. He just knew it. This was all the Hokage's fault. He must die. He scratched his head. Something was crawling, squirming, biting, eating. The Hokage must die. Let it out like a straight liner. Right here, right now. Burn. Let's go on a butchering spree and get the fire. Right here, right now. Bang. Itachi entered the room and impassively observed the old man. He was mumbling to himself and scratching some imagined wound, then the next minute singing at the top of his lungs. It's time, he thought to himself, for the final act. He left the room without locking it and nodded to the Umbu operatives standing around. They melted into the shadows and waited. Kakashi, who had been waiting for this moment all week, smiled and left the building to await the insane man. A half an hour later, Danzo stumbled out of the headquarters screaming, "Let it out like a straight liner. Right here, right now. Burn. Where are you, Sarutobi? I am going to kill you. Right here, right now." Bang. He walked into the busy market and grabbed a sword from a stall, then looked at an old civilian and headed towards him. "You must die, Hiruzen." Danzo lifted the sword to impale the man, but before he could, Kakashi was there. "You will die too, Hatake. Everyone must die. Right here, right now. Burn." He reached out, grabbed the old man, and began to choke him. "It's crawling in my skin," he screamed. A second later, a kunai was at his throat. Kakashi whispered in his ear, "It's you who must die, traitor. I told you before that you made a mistake in thinking I was weak." Loudly he said, "I cannot allow you to injure one of our noble citizens of Konoha, Danzo. Will you stand down now or accept the consequences?" Danzo pulled the old man tighter to him, then suddenly screamed, "It's crawling in my skin. It should have been me who selected to be the next Hokage. Die, you useless old man." He lifted the sword higher to the other man's neck. Without any hesitation or remorse, Kakashi plunged the kunai into Danzo and watched him crumple at his feet, dead at last. He wanted to spit on the corpse, but he still had an act to play out, so he made his face look remorseful. Still, it was good to see the dead body. He remembered Jiraiya saying, "The true measure of a shinobi is not how he lives but how he dies." Danzo did die well. He never recanted or gave any of his secrets, just like a true shinobi. With a nod to the Umbu standing around, he flicked the blood off his kunai dispassionately and put it back in his pouch on his leg. He knew what he had done was murder, but he did not care. He was an assassin, a true shinobi. He felt vindicated. With the death of Danzo, the Uchiha Council cancelled their planned uprising. They knew there was no way to win without the support of Root. Now that the curse seal on their tongues had disappeared, the Umbu were able to locate many of the former members. Ibiki was leading a unit whose sole function was to deprogram them. The Hokage vowed to bring about better relations with the Uchiha. Kakashi had his doubts, but Itachi was closely monitoring his clan. Sarutobi felt confident now that he had more time to work with. Kakashi began taking more missions here and there. 6 months later, he found himself in Suna finishing his escort mission when he passed through their market. A toy stand caught his eye. Thinking of his little chibi at home, he wandered over to it. He bought a little ninja doll, grinning as he imagined Naruto's face. That boy and his friends loved these silly little things. When he saw the Kazekage approaching, he hastily stuffed it into his weapons pouch. He definitely did not want to be caught buying such a thing. The 3-day journey back home seemed to take forever. He had never been gone longer than a week before. Naruto would get nightmares. As he approached the tall gates of Konoha, he summoned his pack of Niken. He missed his boy and did not want to waste any time searching for him. "I have to report my mission completion to the Hokage. I want you all to spread out and find the puppy for me. Do not let him see you so I can surprise him. Then report to the tower once you discover his whereabouts." Dismissed. The pack separated quickly while Kakashi continued towards the Hokage's office. Pakken found him first and let him know where to find the chibi. "Daddy!" yelled Naruto when he spotted Kakashi across the park. The past 6 months had changed him a lot. No longer frail and sick, his chubby body bloomed with health. His thick blonde hair stuck up in spikes. He jumped up and down excitedly and hollered, "Daddy, I miss you. Did ya have a good mission? Did ya kick any evil ninja butts for me? Did ya miss me, Daddy? Did ya bring me something? Did ya?" He stopped with a sudden high-pitched scream when Kakashi pulled a new ninja action figure from his weapons pouch. "Chuji, come see, come see. My daddy just got back from Sugasuna Sanaga. Sunagakure, son. Yeah, he just got back from air. Look, Chuji, he got me the Kazakage. The two boys inspected the figure in awe, until Kakashi cleared his throat and gave him a pointed look. He jumped up and latched onto the Nin, hugging him, then yelling, Ichiraku daddy. You said you'd take me to Ichiraku when you were gone more than 4 days. You said? Kakashi laughed at the hyperactive boy. Always thinking with his stomach, he thought. He looked at the chibi and said sternly, Where is your babysitter pup? You better not have played too many pranks on poor Irika again. That poor kid is going to go crazy if you do not leave him alone. You and Kiba better not have turned his hair blue again, did you? No, daddy, I swear I was good. And anyways, Ruka's not here. I got that guy. He pointed up at the tree behind him where a young masked Umbu sat. He's no fun, daddy. He wouldn't give me a piggyback ride. He whispered into Kakashi's ear, he wouldn't help me at night with the scary dream, daddy. The copy Nin hugged his son, then looked up at the tree in surprise. He had not felt the chakra signature at all. He noted the mask and smiled. So, my pup treed a weasel, huh? You must have scared him good. Excellent work, son. Now could someone please explain to me why I have the Umbu Uchiha prodigy doing the job of a genin? He set Naruto on the ground and folded his arms across his chest in unease. He wanted answers now from Itachi. The masked Nin jumped down lightly from the tree and said, Good to see you again, Kakashi. I need to speak with you urgently, but this is not the place to discuss it. There was an incident the day after you left on your mission. What? Feeling his ire rise, he said, My place, now? At Itachi's nod, he looked down at Naruto. Say goodbye to Chuji, son. We need to leave. Naruto was about to complain about leaving so soon, but one look at the Nin's face and he complied. He had that scary this is serious look. He only made that face when he talked to the men in the masks and the Hokage. Quietly, he picked up his things, said goodbye to Chuji and his mom, and then followed the two shinobi. Kakashi glanced back at his son and saw the kicked puppy look and huffed in annoyance. That look always worked on him. He turned around, picked up the boy, and set him on his shoulders. Looking over at the Umbu, he said, Well, come on. We are in a hurry, aren't we? He shined away, leaving the Uchiha staring at a pile of swirling leaves. Back at his apartment, he could instantly tell that something had happened. Naruto jumped down and before he could ask any questions spoke, Oh yeah, guess what, daddy? I forgot to tell ya. Somebody came in and they started wrestling in a house with Ruka. I told them that they not supposed to cause someone could get hurt like you said, but they didn't listen. And then Ruka got hurt like you said would happen. He was in the hospital, but he says he's alright. Are you mad at him, daddy? That mean old lady next door was. She called the policeman and said I was being bad, but I wasn't a daddy. I swear. That man that was wrestling with Ruka wanted me to play with him, but I told him no cause I'm not supposed to. Then guess what happened, daddy? Ruka punched him in the head and made him fall asleep. He tried to make me go back to bed, but then he falled over and wouldn't get up. I was trying to make him get up, but then the police came. The Kampi are really cool, daddy. Will you get me one of those figures next? Well then guess what happened? The police took Ruka's friend away and then the men in a mask came and took care of Ruka, then they made me sleep in their house. I tried to tell them that you would be mad that I wasn't at home, but they didn't listen to me, daddy. I don't want to go back there, daddy. It was dark and scary, and they didn't let me bring my teddy bear. Kakashi crouched down and hugged the trembling boy. Controlling his anger, he gently said, Okay, son. Thanks for telling me everything. You did a fine job. Why don't you go to your room for now while I talk to Uchiha here, okay? Naruto nodded, then went to the room. As soon as the bedroom door clicked shut, Kakashi's expression changed. It became deadly serious. Report. Itachi stood at attention. Sir, it happened just as Naruto said. After midnight, an intoxicated assailant broke into your apartment. The genin on duty, Irika Yumino, successfully defended both the boy and himself. He was able to subdue the assailant, sustaining minor injuries. He broke an arm and suffered a concussion, I believe. The woman next door notified the police of a noise complaint. They called Umbu. When they arrived, they arrested the man and took the genin to the hospital. We took Naruto into custody for his safety. We interrogated the villager. He was told by an unknown person where you lived and that you were gone. Apparently, it looked like just a drunken whim. Sir, there were not enough wards and traps around your residence to ensure proper safety. I understand there is not much you can do with an apartment, but considering the nature of the boy. Kakashi interrupted. Why was he at the park and not within the protection of the Umbu headquarters? That was definitely not Black Ops protocol. Itachi vacillated. The threat had passed. Try again, Uchiha, he said, knowing there was more. Umbu would not have taken him out in public until Kakashi had returned. Well? Tiredly he asked, what did he do? Are the headquarters still intact? Well, the kitchen needs to be remodeled now. The boy slipped his protector and found the explosives room, he said with a wince. He set off enough tags to blow the roof off. He escaped the Umbu? Are you telling me that a 3-year-old got away from a highly trained Umbu black operative and got a hold of explosives? There is more, isn't there? Tell me. Well, he is almost 4 now. He tried to defend the Umbu's reputation, then sighed. He painted some anatomically correct drawings on all the masks he could find. Kakashi was really getting angry now. This still did not explain why they took his boy out of the safety of the headquarters. That still does not justify anything. Sir, we are not entirely sure what he did to Bear, but his left eye was twitching madly. We felt it would be prudent to remove the child from the premises for a while until he calmed down, he said, finally stating the truth. Kakashi began to laugh. He couldn't stop. His son had single-handedly decimated the Umbu Black Ops headquarters and had its members running for cover. Wheezing from laughter, he said, wow, I must say, I am impressed that he could do that to Bear. Ibiki Marino is calmness itself. His self-control is legendary. That's my boy, he said, puffing out his chest with pride. You are dismissed, Itachi. Itachi saluted, then shined away, leaving the still chuckling Kakashi standing there alone. He walked into the bedroom where his son sat on his bed playing with his ninja toys. He silently watched him for several minutes, glad to be home. Looking at the small space, he sighed, knowing what must be done. It was time to move. This place just did not have adequate space for the two of them, and he could not make it safe enough. The renter in his house had recently died and the house was still vacant. Sam was right. He needed to make new memories. He remembered the conversation they had recently. Flashback. When are you going to move out of that tiny apartment and into your family home? It has vacant for a long time. It would be good for you two to get a bigger place. The yard is huge, and as a bonus, it borders my clan compound and the Umbu training grounds. Plus, the brats would love to be closer. Kakashi was quiet for a moment, and then said, I'm not sure if I am ready for that yet. It has so many memories in it. She rolled her eyes and said dryly, you have a son now, Hataki. Make new memories. He could tell she was itching to slap him upside the head, so he took a step back. I'll think on it. So has the brat been sleeping in his own bed yet? He sighed, only at nap times. Every night I put him in his own bed, but he always ends up in mine. He still gets scared at night and has nightmares, but they are slowly starting to decrease. Sam patted Kakashi on the shoulders. Don't worry, you're doing a good job, Kashi. What about going outside? Is it easier to get him out yet? Ma, he still bites me at times. Only Irika can get him out without too big of a fuss. He claims it is only because Naruto does not want to be separated from me. He watched his little boy play for a moment, feeling so content to be home. It scared him to think that some civilian managed to break in. Thankfully, he was not hurt, but what about next time? He could set up very powerful traps around a house, but not an apartment like this. He had to protect his most precious possession. Naruto looked up and smiled at him. Guess what, Daddy? Tenzo thought I was crying, so he made me a new ninja. See, look, it looks exactly like you, Daddy. It even has your red eye when you take off the headband. But I wasn't crying, Daddy. I just got something in my eyes. You're a tough little man. You ready to eat now, pup? Ichiraka, Daddy? You said, member? His face lit up as he ran to Kakashi. I really missed you, Daddy. It was funny how he was not scared to leave the house if ramen was on the line. Yeah, I remember my promise, and I missed you too. The next morning dawned clear and bright, but not Kakashi. With a heavy heart and forced cheerfulness, he and Naruto walked across town towards the Inuzuka clan grounds where his house stood. He found himself explaining death to the boy when he asked what happened to the old woman that used to live there. Sometimes people get sick or hurt, and sometimes old people just die. Are you gonna die, Daddy? He asked worriedly. Yes, son, someday I will. We all do, but that is not something you should worry about right now. As a shinobi, we put our lives on the line all the time. Remember this, I am highly trained and will fight hard to stay alive. That is all anyone can do. We are here. He pointed to the large house. Although Kakashi had not been back to his home in 10 years, it looked the same. The renter had taken good care of the grounds, he noted, and the newly refurbished deck was gleaming. He slowly climbed the stairs while Naruto tugged on his hand in impatience. He unlocked the door, opened it, and stepped into the past. He barely even heard the boy whoop as he ran off to explore the space. With a rapidly beating heart, Kakashi stumbled through each room. Every corner seemed to expose a new ghost of a memory. He blinked his eyes hard and clenched his fists to stay in the future. It worked until he came upon the study where he had witnessed his father's suicide. The sensations became too much as he was forcibly thrown into the past. He was a young boy again, all alone in the world. He slid to the floor and held his head in his hands. Naruto found his daddy's old room. It looked out onto the Anbu training grounds. He jumped up and down in excitement to think of all the awesome jutsu and fighting techniques he would get to witness. No wonder why his daddy was the greatest ninja ever, he thought. He ran off to find him so he could tell him about the room. He wanted it to be all his. He called and called, but did not get an answer from the Nin. Finally, he found him in a room with a bunch of books and a desk. His daddy would not look or talk to him. He touched his chest, which was rising and falling fast. "Daddy, are you getting scary pictures in your head?" he asked. He was not scared because he had been through this a lot in the last 6 months, and his daddy always helped him. "Don't worry, Daddy. I'll help you this time." "Breathe, Daddy. Take a deep breath and let it out slow. Don't think about the bad pictures. They happened long ago. Look at me, Daddy, and wake up." He climbed into Kakashi's lap and put his hands on the Nin's face. "Feel my hands, Daddy. Wake up. You are home with me." The small familiar voice invaded his subconscious. That voice did not belong in his father's home, not back then. He opened his eye to find 2 blue orbs inches from his. "Did you see scary pictures, Daddy?" he asked knowingly. "They not real, 'member, Daddy?" He hugged the Nin, pulled down his mask, and gave him a wet kiss on the cheek. "Love you, Daddy." "Love you too, pup. I'm sorry if I scared you." He hugged the boy back, set him down, and stood up. "It was just bad memories from when I was a little boy. Let's go look around some more, okay?" He was mad at himself for falling apart around the boy. "No, Daddy. I wasn't scared. I don't want to look around yet. You forgot something, Daddy. You got to meditate now, 'member? That's what you always make me do. Can I help you, Daddy?" he earnestly asked. He smiled at the boy. "I think I would love that, son." He had done that countless times for the boy since he had adopted him. He no longer had to, though, as the flashbacks had finally stopped. He rarely even had nightmares anymore. It seemed that his mind was finally healing, Kakashi's too. This was the first bad moment he had had in months. "Sit with me here on the floor, Daddy. Put your legs in lotus and hands in mudra. Now close your eye. 'Member, back straight and breathe deep." Kakashi did as instructed. The last thing he heard as he went deep into a meditative state was, "Good boy, Daddy. Now go somewheres nice." Later that afternoon, after they had cleaned the house up, the Hokage came by to see them. He had known that they were in the process of moving and was happy to hear of it. He brought a gift for the Hatake family. Sarutobi brought with him an Anbu escort. Naruto answered the door and shyly stared at them for a minute before remembering who the Hokage was. "Hi! Daddy, the old man in the Anbu is here, see ya!" he shouted very loudly. Sarutobi just chuckled at the impudent chibi. "You want to come in?" he asked and opened the door wider. He studied the Hokage for a minute and remembering the recent conversation with his father compelled him to warn, "Hey, guess what, did ya know that old people die and you don't look so good?" Kakashi had just walked in the room when Naruto let out that little gem of wisdom. The boy was about to open his mouth again, but Kakashi covered the boy's mouth in embarrassment then greeted the Hokage. "And to what do I owe the pleasure of your visit, sir?" "Oh, I thought I would see how everything is going for you too. I brought you a small tree for a housewarming gift." He handed the plant to Kakashi. Naruto was gazing at it curiously. He tugged on Kakashi's clothes until the Nin looked at him. "You put a tree in the house?" he asked with a confused expression. "Why, Daddy? Trees are supposed to be outside." He was at a loss to explain. You know, I really don't know why. Everybody does it. I guess because it looks pretty and makes a house feel welcoming." "Oh," he said thoughtfully. "What about your pack, Daddy? They pee on trees. You not supposed to pee in a house. You said so when I peed on the floor. You 'member?" Kakashi snorted back his laughter at the chibi. "Don't worry, pup, my knee can know better." The Hokage did not hold it in. He burst out laughing at the boy's hilarious statement. He thanked Sarutobi then asked Naruto if he had anything to say to him too. His little face scrunched up for a moment in deep thought before he answered, "I just have a kid-sized penis because I'm a kid. Not Daddy though. He's a grown-up, so he has a big penis." "Daddy, your penis is this big," said while holding his hands quite a wide distance apart. Kakashi instantly went red as the Hokage and the Anbu started choking on their laughter. I meant, thank you, but I guess you can repeat anywhere and everywhere you want," he deadpanned. "Why don't you go play before you say something else that you shouldn't?" To the Hokage, he said, "I would ask you to stay longer, however, I still have a lot to do and who knows what the kid will say next." The Hokage and Umbu moved to leave. As they opened the door, several Jonin were walking up the stoop. Looks like your moving helpers are here, said Sarutobi. Hate, Genma, Kurenai, Anko, and Guy all nodded to the Hokage. They were all carrying boxes from Kakashi's apartment. Guy looked like a pack horse as he had claimed that through the power of youth he would be able to carry everything from Kakashi's living room. The others just rolled their eyes and let him. A few trips later, the apartment was empty and the house filled with boxes. Anko, who had been babysitting Naruto while they moved everything, came down the stairs to join the men who were finally relaxing. She tried to sit in Kakashi's lap, but he hurriedly stood up and had to remind her again that she was too young for him. She grabbed onto his arm and was trying to pull his mask off when Naruto hollered from upstairs, Daddy, I pooped in the toilet, come wipe my butt. Everyone looked at each other for a moment before busting out with laughter. Genma said in a Sato voice, come wipe my butt next, Kashi. Ah, shut it, he said, pulling up his headband and exposing his Sharingan eye. He made a Chidori in his hand and said, you can wipe with this. He turned and walked up the stairs while his friends continued to snigger at him below. A few minutes later, Naruto raced down the stairs and leaped in Genma's lap. His face was lit up in excitement. Guess what, Unka Jen? Daddy told me that you don't got no penis, he giggled then pointed at Anko. But he say you do. He looked at Genma with a slightly put-out look. I thought you was a boy, Unka Jen. The senbon that had been balanced precariously in Genma's mouth fell out as he gaped at the chibi. Kakashi smirked as he walked down the stairs as everyone laughed at the two red shinobi. Kakashi saw Anko get a predatory look in her eyes and head towards him again. He moved to Genma and plucked Naruto out of his lap, then sat down with the boy in his arms. He ruffled his hair and said, that's my pup. He then whispered in the boy's ear, code Purple Snake. Naruto nodded solemnly and threw his arms around Kakashi's neck. Anko sat down next to them and put her hand on the Copy-Nin's leg. Naruto kicked her hand, swatted at her face, and yelled, no, my daddy. Kakashi gave her a nice smile and said, sorry Anko, he doesn't mean it. He just does not like to share me. You know, he's just a little guy. Come on Naruto, we are friends right? She wheedled, you were nice to me when I watched you today. I just want to be nice to your daddy too. No, my daddy. He pushed her away again then buried his head in Kakashi's shoulder. In a muffled voice, he said, be nice to Unka Hate, not my daddy. Kakashi smiled at his boy. He is so smart, he thought. Anko was such a pain, but she babysat free for him, so he tolerated her. He had to teach Naruto to be his shield when she was on the prowl. Just then, he heard the chibi's belly rumble. Perfect timing, little man, he thought. Well, thanks everyone for helping me. My little guy here is hungry, so we are going to Ichiraki get something to eat before I unpack. Anyone want to join us? He put Naruto down so he could get his sandals. Naruto walked over to Anko, held up his arms, and demanded, up Anko. Hey, she said, I thought you didn't like me anymore. She could not resist his cute little face, so she picked him up. The chibi pushed her trench coat aside and buried himself in her chest. Kakashi saw what he was doing and mouthed, traitor, when she was not looking. Naruto just giggled and closed his eyes in contentment. Several days later, on one warm summer morning, Kakashi woke Naruto to tell him their plans for the day. Wake up, little man. We are going to meet Irika and some of my friends for training today. You want to watch us, right, pup? Naruto was instantly awake. He threw the covers off and ran to the bathroom to get ready, singing excitedly and very loudly the whole time. Kakashi was rubbing his ears while fixing breakfast and packing lunches for them. The Nin did not have to convince Naruto to leave the house, for which he was thankful for. When they arrived, they were of course late as usual. Irika, Tenzo, and Guy were waiting for them. Kakashi did not want Naruto to wander the training grounds, so he had Tenzo create a playpen for him. He put the boy in it and noticed his pout. Now you stay here where it is safe and watch daddy, okay? The chibi was still mad, but he said, "K daddy. Beat him up." Sure pup, he laughed. They warmed up then started with taijutsu with Guy, who was a master. After a while, Kakashi used shuriken and kunai, which Guy easily dodged, but Irika had more problems with. He knocked the genin down and heard Naruto yelling, "Thous and years of pain, daddy." He laughed and called for a break after 2 hours to feed the boy. As he walked to the pen, he saw that his pup was still pouting. He glowered at Kakashi, "You didn't beat him up, daddy." "Well, they are my friends and we aren't fighting for real, son. It is just practice. You want daddy to show you something really cool after we eat?" His face lit up, "Yeah, daddy." When Kakashi handed him a sandwich, he shoved nearly the whole thing into his mouth, looking like a hamster storing its food. He began to chew furiously with his mouth open. "That is so disgusting," thought the Nin as he turned his head to avoid watching it. Slow down, pup, Daddy has to eat too, so no sense inhaling your food. Guy, Tenzo, and Irika wandered over to eat as well. Guy boomed out, how is the youthful ball of energy doing this fine morning? Naruto jumped up and down in the pen. He knew how to work the green man. Unca Guy, pick me up, pick me up. He held up his arms and gave him his best wide-eyed look. Please, Unca Guy. Guy could not resist the little chibi, so he snatched him out of his tiny prison and threw him high up into the air to his delight. Kakashi freaked out. He leapt to his feet and seized the boy from Guy's arms. Are you crazy? He screamed. What the hell, Guy, you could hurt him. His heart was pounding in fright, while Naruto just laughed. Again, Unca Guy, he said while reaching for the shinobi. Ah, come on, my eternal rival. Let the boy experience the full passion of youth in all its glory. Guy gave him his thumbs up and good guy pose. Get your own kid to torture, snapped Kakashi after being nearly blinded by his smile. An instant later, he felt guilty as Guy's face fell. Realizing he was being foolish, he handed the boy to his friend. He said in a fussy sort of way before he could catch himself, just don't break him, or anything. He coughed, embarrassed, and said, well, he just ate, so, don't make him puke or anything. Abashed, Guy nodded and set the boy down. Do you want me to show you how to punch with youthful power, young Naruto? Naruto jumped up and down clapping his hands. Yeah, Unca Guy, show me. They went through the paces while the rest of the men ate their food. As soon as Kakashi finished, he stood up and had Tenzo make him several wood pillars. He then called Guy to bring Naruto over. He had Irika hold him while he demonstrated the Chidori and several other impressive jutsu. Naruto was delighted. He seemed to love anything that was loud, fast, and or destructive. Again, Daddy, do the birdie again. I'm almost out of chakra, so I can only do it one more time, he said, showing him the Chidori again. After that, they walked home. Naruto yelled out to everyone he saw, my daddy's the best ninja ever, and I'm gonna be a ninja someday just like my daddy. He tugged on Kakashi's pants and said, you teach me to be a ninja, Daddy? Remembering how quick he picked up on Guy's punching lessons, he said, sure pup, we will start later. You just better not forget that you are not allowed to touch Daddy's shuriken and kunai unless I am there and tell you to. I really get to be a ninja like you? At Kakashi's nod, Naruto smiled happily. I'll be the best ninja ever, just like you, Daddy. Another month had passed and the time had finally come for the Chunin exams. Irika came by to break the news to Naruto. The little boy was so attached to him, and he was going to be very busy for a while, especially if he passed. He took the boy to Ichiraka for some ramen. Kakashi was walking behind them watching as Naruto held tight to the older boy's hand. Most of the villagers had learned to keep their thoughts to themselves and to stop staring so openly at the boy, but Kakashi found he still had to remind an occasional villager of just who was raising the pup. It still made him so angry when he caught the tail end of some dark muttering or evil look. He could sense the thoughts of the nearby men and was getting angry. Yumino's gentle voice calmed him down and made him really appreciate the boy even more. Irika had noticed the way the boy was avoiding the gazes of the villagers as he always did. You know, little brother, do not let it bother you. This is still the best village to live in no matter what a few people do. The stares and mean things people say can only hurt you if you allow it to. What's so good about the village, Ruka? Everybody hate me. Not everyone, little brother. I don't hate you and neither does your father. What about Genma, hate, Kurinai, Guy and the Hokage? They don't hate you. You have friends too like Kiba, Chuji, and Shikamaru to name a few. He stopped walking, squatted down, and ruffled his hair. Do you remember back when I told you about the will of fire? Naruto thought hard then shook his head. Irika smiled at him. That is what makes a Konoha shinobi strong. It's the drive to protect those who are precious to us. The village is full of people and they all have their own hopes, dreams and precious people of their own. I want to protect everyone in this village. It does not matter if they know me or like me. What matters is that they are a part of this village. Naruto, I have to tell you something important. I am taking the Chunin exams very soon. If I pass, I will not be able to watch you anymore. Why not Ruka? He asked, clutching the other boy's hand tightly. He answered, because I will have other duties. I want to become a teacher at the academy. I will have to go on higher ranked missions and get some experience. Naruto swiped at the tears forming in his eyes. With a quiver in his voice that he could not prevent, he asked, You gonna forget me? Never, little brother, would I ever forget you. I will see you, just not as often. Who knows, maybe you will be in my class if I get to be an instructor. But you know if I do, then you can't call me brother in front of everyone. Why not? You don't really like me, huh? 'Cause I never do nothing right and I'm a bad boy. So Kakashi, who had been following the whole conversation, reached out and grabbed the boy by the back of his shirt. Whoa, pup, what are you talking about? You are a very good little boy. You do many things right. Yeah, interjected Irika, you have been learning lots of things real quickly. Remember how fast you learned how to add and subtract. You are very smart. Shika says I'm a weirdo cause I have to run and stuff when I do my work. Son, you just have too much energy to sit and study. You are very lucky that Irika figured that out. You have a battle reflex, that's why you think best when your body is in motion. That will make you a very smart shinobi someday. Most people have a hard time coming up with good plans while they are moving. As for being bad, well, that's just wrong too. I've seen what you learned from Guy. Your leaf whirlwind is coming along great, especially from one so young. I'll bet that as soon as you get a bit bigger, you will be unstoppable. Irika smiled at the cheered up little boy. What say we get some ramen now? A few months of Kakashi training with Naruto had really helped the boy with his confidence. He never balked at going outside anymore. They had just got home from one such training session when the Nin got a nasty little surprise. It was graduation time at the academy again. He received a letter informing him that he had to be a sensei to 3 new graduates. Oh great, he thought. I really don't like spoiled rotten bratty academy kids. He stepped into the shower while considering what to do with Naruto. Most of the people who watched him were on missions. Irika was now a Chunin and had longer missions than before. He laughed to himself as he thought of a perfect revenge for the Hokage sticking him with students. He would let him watch his pup while he met with the little brats. As he got out of the shower, he thought about his pup running Sarutobi ragged. He laughed hard until he heard a loud crash coming from the kitchen. Naruto was supposed to be sleeping. He went into the kitchen carefully avoiding the shattered glass that was once a sugar jar. It was placed up high to prevent the boy from getting into it. His son was standing on the counter reaching for the cookie jar that used to be behind the sugar jar. He grabbed it and took out a cookie when he finally noticed Kakashi. Naruto guiltily flushed and said, "Oh heh, you want a cookie, daddy?" He wrapped his towel tighter around his waist and plucked the boy from the kitchen counter. "No pup, I do not want a cookie." "Oh okay. Can I have your cookie, daddy?" Kakashi smothered an exasperated sigh. "No son, it is your bedtime, not snack time. Cookies are not good to eat this late." "I'm sorry, daddy. I was hungry." Kakashi carried the boy upstairs and tried to put him in his own bed. He would not let go of the Nin. It took 1 glass of water, 20 minutes of searching for his bear, Mr. Kumachan, and an examination of the closet and under the bed for the boogeyman, before the boy fell asleep. 2 hours later, Kakashi awoke when the chibi crawled into his bed and curled up to him with his face on Kakashi's chest. He sighed and pulled a little towel out from his bedside table to put under the boy's cheek. He still drooled. He drooled a lot. The little Bond boy is in the park with Kiba, Chuji, and Shikamaru. They are happily playing with their ninja figures in the sandbox. "Come on Naruto, let's go tease the girls," begged Kiba, "it'll be fun. Shika and Chuji are gonna do it too. You have to do it with us." "Yeah, but my daddy said I gotta try to be nice to girls." Secretly he didn't want to do it. He didn't like girls, but he really wanted to touch Sakura's hair. If he made her mad then she would never let him do it. Shikamaru lazily pointed out, "TCH, you two are so troublesome. Your dad only said you have to try, right? So go try. If that doesn't work then you can tell him you did what he told you to." Kiba's eyes lighted up. Naruto was always his partner in every joke, but sometimes he had to trick him into doing some of them. "Come on, let's go say hi to the girls. That way we are being nice. If they are mean to us, will you play a prank with me?" When Naruto agreed, they ran over to the pretty little girls. The blonde-haired boy greeted both girls, and then it was Kiba's turn. He walked behind them and sniffed loudly. "Hey Ino, did you know that dogs sniff butts to say hello?" asked Kiba with a sly smile. "Yeah, and they like to drag their butts on the ground cause they get worms in their poop too." "You, Kiba. You are so gross, get away from me," Ino yelled. "Come on Sakura, let's get away from these gross boys." Sakura raised her fists and punched them both. Naruto laughed, "That didn't hurt cause you hits like a little dumb baby." Kiba winked at Naruto and said, "Well, we were nice. Now will you help me play that prank? We can turn their hair blue. Please, please, please." The dream suddenly changes. The world suddenly turns dark and surrounds him like a cloak. The darkness is heavy as though it is trying to invade his body and take him over. Far away in the distance, Hai sees a pinprick of light. Although he cannot see his feet, he makes his way forward, slowly at first, then at a stumbling run. The light gets a little bigger. It is not a light, It is silver. It is silver hair. Hurry up, pup, it says. It is daddy. It is my daddy. Wait for me, he cries frantically at the Nin, but he does not stop. He runs faster, desperate to reach daddy. His lungs burn with effort, but still he gets no closer. Something big and frightening blocks his progress. A light seems to shine down on it, exposing an ugly troll. Its eyes are human. They look so familiar, like they were the eyes of someone who he had known. Like someone from the bad place. Its mouth opened and an evil voice grated out, "You are a little monster and deserve to die." Snarling teeth and razor-sharp claws sink into his flesh. His screams go unheeded as the merciless eyes light with pleasure at his pain. He tries to lift his head and pleads for someone to save him, "Daddy." Something wraps around him tight. He panics as he remembers the coat they tied on him. He screams hysterically. The pressure increases and the urge to open his eyes is tremendous, but he cannot. Trapped in the nightmare, his hoarse screams turn to whimpers. Finally, he hears the sounds around him, fuzzy and far away at first, then louder and more distinct. Sure, wake up now. It is just a bad dream. Wake up, daddy's here. The harsh sobs shake his small frame, still he cannot open his eyes. He feels the hand on his back, rubbing it gently. No claws are puncturing his skin. There is no pain anywhere. Hardly daring to believe it, he cracks open one eye. His vision, blurred from tears, makes out the silver hair of his father. The other eye opens and he looks around in fright, thinking it is just another dream. Tears fall from his face freely. He reaches out his hand to chase away the cruel illusion, but instead of air, his fingers touch warm skin. He slowly extends the other hand and touches Kakashi's cool brow. "Daddy?" "I'm here, pup." He wipes the tears from Naruto's face and tries to control his rising anger. He thinks, that woman was evil, plain and simple. I am glad she is dead and I hope that she is sitting in a special place reserved especially for her in hell. Every time Naruto had a particularly bad dream, he would be wan and withdrawn the next day. Kakashi just did not know what to for him. Until he could get the kid to talk about his nightmares, he would continue to experience the horrors. He calmly stroked the boy's head and tried again. "Tell daddy about your dream." "I'm scared." "I know, son. Daddy has scary dreams sometimes too. It will make you feel better to talk about it. I can help you make the dreams go away." "A bad monster hurt me." He pointed to the scar under his arm and said, "She hurt me here." "She?" Relief flooded through his body as the boy finally started to talk about the dreams. "I know you got hurt a lot before, but that is in the past now. I will keep you safe. Do you remember who she was?" "From the bad place, Ms. Wookie. She hate me and hurt me. She can't no more?" "No, son. Ms. Yuki is dead." "Oh," he rubbed his bear across his face. "I safe now?" "Very safe." He smiled as he watched the boy drift off to sleep. He decided to go ahead and take the boy with him the day after tomorrow. He would get a kick out of watching his daddy beat the snot out of the little brats. And maybe, after he failed the little genin, he would take his pup out for a treat. The next morning he had to push and prod the chibi to get him out of bed. An angry, cranky disposition replaced his usual sunny temperament, but Kakashi expected it. The nightmare last night did seem especially bad. He was bitten twice before he got the boy out of the house. The Nin carried the boy on his shoulders and raced across the rooftops to cheer him up. When they arrived at the Hokage's office, Naruto was excited to see the old man. Kakashi went to meet his new students. To say the least, he was not impressed. He arranged their bell test for the next morning and hurried back to the tower. He found Naruto sitting on Sarutobi's lap chattering away. "And then my daddy say that even though you really old, you still strong." Kakashi entered through the window and interrupted on Naruto, "What did I say about house talk?" "But daddy, he's the Hokage. You said he's the daddy of the village? You said so, remember? You said only talk house with the daddy?" Hiruzen's eyes crinkled at Hatake. It was fun for him to see the normally stoic shinobi discomfort. He patted the boy then said, "Go greet your father, young Naruto." He twisted his small body and hugged the man, chirping, "Bye, Gramps." He hopped off the Hokage's lap and jumped into his father's arms. "Did y'all like your new kids, daddy? Not better than me though, right?" "Yes, Kakashi, did you?" asked the Hokage, suppressing a laugh. "Ma, they were not very inspiring or notable. I definitely like you better, pup," he said to Naruto. To the Hokage, he said, "When my son graduates from the academy, he will be much stronger and smarter than them." "Did ya ask him yet?" questioned Naruto while pointing at Sarutobi. Kakashi put the boy's finger down then shifted uncomfortably at the Hokage's inquisitive look. Well, as you know, Naruto is almost 4, and although I know the normal age of admission to the academy is 5, we were hoping he could get in a little early. Maybe the class that starts in the spring. All of his friends will be starting then. He already knows how to read and write pretty well. His accuracy with a shuriken is very impressive. I believe he is ready. The Hokage studied them thoughtfully. This is 6 months from now, so I will allow it as long as an instructor from the academy okays it. Kakashi had to set the boy down as he was practically vibrating with excitement. The next morning, Kakashi awoke before the chibi again as he had been too excited to sleep. He just had that nightmare again where Naruto replaced Rin and he killed the boy. With his heart racing, he tried to bring up his hand to wipe his face, but something had it pinned down. Naruto's warm little body pressed up so tight to Kakashi was a surprise. With a shaky hand, he felt the boy's chest rise and fall in relief. He hated that dream more than anything. He caressed the blonde's head, then said in a forced, cheerfully loud voice, "Come on, pup. It is time to get up and test the new genin." Naruto turned over and clutched the covers tighter. "Tired, Daddy. It's too cold outside." "So you do not want to come with me and watch me work?" He pulled the covers down and tweaked the boy's nose. "I will even let you bring some kunai to practice with." Naruto's eyes got big and he jumped out of bed. Kakashi chuckled at him as he prepared their food. As he strapped a weapons pouch on his son's leg, he eyed the clock and saw that they were already 2 hours late. He shrugged his shoulders and figured that it would be at least another hour before they would arrive at the training grounds. The early morning chill had pretty much dissipated when they finally arrived 3.5 hours late. Kakashi was walking slowly holding Naruto's hand. The chibi was amusing him with a tale about a trick involving blue dye he and Kiba played on Ino recently. The boy stopped talking as they neared the training field and saw the 3 genin that were waiting by the posts on them. As they got closer, the 2 boys and girls shouted, "You're late." Naruto, having heard the same thing from all his father's friends all of the time, covered his mouth and giggled as Kakashi said, "Well, you see, there was this little old lady carrying her groceries up this big hill. Being a shinobi of Konohagakure, I had to help her." The 3 genin obviously did not believe Kakashi. Naruto, playing along, said, "Yeah, she was real old and old people die all the time, huh, Daddy? You pose to help people afore they die." The female genin gazed at Naruto sitting on the memorial stone and huffed, "This is so not fair. Why did you bring the baby? You are supposed to be focused on us, not some stupid little kid." Kakashi frowned in annoyance at her. "He is not a baby, nor is he stupid. You will find that I am more than capable of watching him and testing you 3 at the same time with my eye closed if I wanted." He told the genin to get the bells from him before noon and come at him with the intent to kill. As soon as they ran off to hide, he called the chibi over. It was a perfect opportunity to work on tracking skills. "Alright, son, I want you to listen really good and find out where those brats went." Naruto closed his eyes and used his acute hearing and keen sense of smell. Soon he giggled and pointed towards the river. "Over there, Daddy. I hear the big boy in the bushes. Can I hit him with my shuriken, Daddy?" He pulled out of his pouch 3 small wooden shuriken. Kakashi considered it for a half a second before nodding his head. If the genin was hit with a toy by a little boy like Naruto, then he deserved to go back to the academy. Naruto threw it just like he had been practicing the last few months. It actually made it into the bushes, but didn't hit anything. The chibi let out a wordless grumble in frustration and moved to retrieve his weapons. He stopped at the bush and pointed up, "Daddy, the girl up here and the big boy is behind you now.